Ryan Steinekert with Thane.
My Local Radio and Cook Brothers Broadcasting present two teams, two consecutive state titles, each. Tonight in Camas, Utah, we kick off the 2019 Utah High School football season with a battle of the Big Cats. Tigers versus Wildcats, 2A versus 3A, Milford versus South Summit. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Val Brinkerhoff Race Training Stables, Mike's Tire and Oil in Milford, by Fly M Racing Stables, and by MyLocalRadio.com. Senior Bryson Barnes leads the Milford Tigers against the South Summit Wildcats under new head coach John Snyder in a preseason matchup with two-time defending state champs on both sidelines. With kickoff quickly approaching, let's head to the field.
Good evening and welcome to the kickoff of the 2019 Utah High School football season for the Wildcats of South Summit and the Milford Tigers. It's 2A versus 3A. Last year this would have been a 1A versus 2A matchup, but teams have moved up classification. There's no more 1A football, and this year it's the two-time defending state champ Milford Tigers at the two-time defending state champ 3A, or from 2A, now 3A, South Summit Wildcats. I'm Ryan Steinekert. Alongside me, Tyler McMullen and Elin Olive. Nevea running the camera for us tonight. Thank you so much. A beautiful evening in South Summit. You can't ask for much better setting anywhere in the state. Tyler, how was the trip up from Milford?
It was good. It's a long ride, but I'm not a big traffic fan, so I was good to get off I-15 and start heading up this way. We did catch rush hour coming up from Provo to Camas or to Heber City, so that part was a little rough, but overall it was a good trip.
You're in a good place, Milford, to avoid the rush hour type traffic most of the time, right?
You bet.
Tyler, you've been involved with these kids from Milford for a number of years. You know these guys. Bryson Barnes, a senior. We've seen statistically what kind of a talent is. What kind of a kid is he?
He's a great kid. He's a great leader. He's been that way for a couple years in our school. Not only was he the 1A football MVP last year, he was state champion wrestler in wrestling. He was the 2A baseball MVP in high school baseball. I think he won 4 state championships last year as a kid and an individual between track and wrestling, football and baseball. He's just one of them once-in-a-lifetime kids that comes along that you don't see very often run through, whether 1A, 5A, 6A, it don't matter.
He won the 1A Player of the Year last year in football. 2 years ago, his teammate, was it Ty Neto?
Yes.
Won that award, and he deserved it.
Yep.
But you could have made an argument that Bryson deserved it that year as well.
You bet you could. And they put on a show. So it was good to see both of those two kids. They both deserved, like you said, the opportunity to win, and either one of them could have got it either way.
Tyler, this, of course, any football may be the ultimate team sport, and Bryson's got a great supporting cast and a great group of guys around him. We'll see them on display tonight, and there's no way they win 2 state championships without a great team around them, some great coaching staff. As for the South Summit Wildcats, Elin, another team that has won 2 straight state titles. Cale Atkinson is graduated. He's among the top guys all time in the state of Utah for total touchdowns accounted for, right below Bryson Barnes, in fact. But South Summit has got some good talent and a great history, especially the last 6 years.
Well, yeah, you look at this amazing stadium that they've built here for the Wildcats. And it just, as they say, it's football country. This is huge for the Wildcats to start off the season against a huge team like Milford.
South Summit the last 6 years, 4 state titles. They've lost twice in the state championship. Overall, 66-6 record, 30 wins and 2 losses in their region. This is the cream of the crop, the top 2 teams in the lowest classifications, 2A this year and 3A. 2A for Milford, 3A for the South Summit Wildcats. What a matchup. And here's another interesting note. Mike Grajek, who coached South Summit to its most recent 2 championships. Tyler, you know where I'm going with this?
You bet. He brought the first state title to Milford in football back in 1993, I think it was. He come in. He's real good friends with a lot of these guys that are here still in the school. They know him. They know who he is. I know him and Coach Marshall are really good friends. They talk from time to time. So.
A great matchup tonight to kick off the 2019 football season. We're in beautiful Camas, Utah for the Milford Tigers at the South Summit Wildcats. We welcome you tuned in on mylocalradio.com, or if you found us on YouTube as well. Now let's take a quick look on our scene set. Elin running our stuff here, are producing the show tonight. And the Milford Tigers come in preseason ranked number 1, went 11-0 last year, 3-0 in the 1A South. Their last game in the state championship, they beat Duchesne 45-14. Tyler, I imagine you remember that well last November back at Weber Stewart Stadium.
You bet. Milford come out on fire. Duchesne really did not have an answer on how to stop them. The ball control game didn't work. Bryson was throwing the ball to 3 or 4 different receivers, and Duchesne did not have an answer to stop the Tigers last year in that championship game.
And nobody had an answer all season to stop the Tigers. They scored 44 points a game. That was first in 1A. They finished second in 1A defensively at just under 16 points per game allowed. South Summit, last year, a similar story. They went 11-1, 5-0, took first place in the 2A North, and beat Grand in the championship. Now, Grand, you put up 25 points in the title game. You expect it to be close, but not so with South Summit last year, a 50-25 thumping of the Grand Red Devils in that championship game. South Summit averaged 42 points a game. Their defense just a little better than Milford's last year, just under 15 points a game. They were first in offense, first in defense in all of 2A. That's your scene set tonight. We're going to move along. We got an interview from each of the coaches, Thane Marshall of the visiting Milford Tigers and new coach John Snyder of the South Summit Wildcats. We'll hear from each of them when we return on our pregame show here on mylocalradio.com.
Some folks say that life can be measured in seasons. At Auto Farm Castle Rock Chevrolet in Evanston, we have vehicles for every season. From new to experienced drivers, we understand that safety, affordability, and great mileage are always on the must-have list. So whether you're just starting out or it's time to expand your fleet, we've got every season covered. Auto Farm Castle Rock Chevrolet. Stop in today, 624 Front Street, Evanston. We're a different kind of dealer.
Super kids deserve super care. Experience the difference with board-certified pediatricians Alan Brown, MD, and Bird Gilmartin, MD, at Uinta Medical Group. Whether it's tracking your child's overall health at Well Child Checks or helping your little ones feel better when they're sick, Dr. Brown and Dr. Gilmartin are here to help your child grow, learn, and thrive. Schedule an appointment with Dr. Brown or Dr. Gilmartin by calling 307-789-WELL 9355 or visit evanstonanytime.com.
And we welcome you back to beautiful Camas, Utah for today's matchup featuring the Milford Tigers visiting the South Summit Wildcats. Now we're going to go ahead and kick it over to Coach Thane Marshall to talk more about his team.
Ryan Steinekert with Thane Marshall, head coach of the Milford Tigers. And, Coach, another congratulations on 2 consecutive state titles for the Milford Tigers.
Thank you. It was it's kind of fun to be, on top. You're going to get everybody's game, though, everybody's best game all year long. So we've been preparing all summer for that, and, hopefully we can come out and compete tonight.
You're definitely going to get that in the South Summit Wildcats. They've won the last 2 2A titles.
Yeah, it was kind of a grudge match between me and Coach Grajek. We got together and coached in the All-Star game in the last 2 years, and I really did not want to play South Summit. I called Coach Grajek to see if he knew of anybody that was open, and he said, "Well, we are." And I'm like, and you can't back down to a challenge when your buddies challenge you. So
Are you concerned about, they're a bigger school. They're probably going to have a little more size, a little more speed, things like that?
I'm not sure they'll have any more size than us. They'll have a little more depth. I'm just, if we can compete and get out of this healthy, that's a win for us, no matter what the score ends up.
You've got Bryson Barnes back, his senior year, and he's on the cusp of, setting all kinds of state records, career, single season, all kinds of stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot that you can do offensively with him. Continue to do what you've done in the past.
Yeah, we can. Him and Wes open up the playbook a little bit. And the thing about Bryson is we don't worry about any of those stats. He's 33-3 as a starter, or 33-4, something like that. That's what we're going to worry about. We don't care about what any individual stats. They'll all come. If we take care of the win-loss record, the stats they'll all show. We're coming to. We want to be a team first, and that's the only way we can compete with these bigger schools is be team first. And it doesn't matter who gets the ball, just so we move the ball down the field.
Down the floor in basketball. Not there yet, Coach. But team ball, that's going to be key because you're trying to replace some guys like Paxton Henry, who caught 25 touchdown passes, which would have been a state record if not for Nakua at Orem. You got some big shoes to fill in who Barnes will throw to.
Yeah, we moved BB out of the backfield and put him up there, and he's taken over for Paxton at that spot. So you're replacing a 4.7 guy with a 4.4. So, probably just as good or better hands. And then actually the kid that's most surprising to me this year is Bryson's little brother. He's a sophomore. He'll be playing the wide out. And he'll be when we go trips, he'll be the single slot. He'll be the single receiver on the other side. And I'm not so sure that those two go a day without throwing a ball at each other for 4 or 5 hours. And, Bryson, if he drops it, he's got to come back to the huddle and face the wrath of Big Brother. So, and then he's got Sherwood. Any quarterback's going to love to have a 6'6" wide receiver to slot back to, to throw the ball to. So, and then we got Jarrett Sullivan's little brother is taking his spot at the other wide out. Not quite as fast, but probably better hands.
All this talent and speed makes you look like a good coach.
Yeah, that's the key. It's a good time to be a coach at Milford High School.
Coach, what about South Summit, and how much of your preparation leading up to today has gone into prepping for what you've got to do, but also thinking about what South Summit will do?
That's the hard part when you get a new coach and he says he's going to run a new offense. And so, we're kind of going into it as an unknown. I actually went back and got film from when he was at Stansbury, hoping to find some tendencies. But, we just prepared for everything defensively. Offensively, we just prepare. We do what we do, and I think Wesley's got like 5 different game plans. Depends on what defense they come out in. So, and one thing about my 2 coordinators is they make good adjustments on the fly. So that's what separates a lot of our team from some of the lower level teams. So I got some pretty good assistants.
Yeah. The preparation and then adjusting on the fly. If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail, right?
That's what we live by. And I got a defense coordinator, spent time in the NFL, and then Wes went on and played college ball and played semi-pro, and those two have seen about everything, so they can adjust pretty good.
Coach, anything else you want to touch on?
No, I just really appreciate you guys coming over and doing this. It's an honor for everybody that ever graduated from Milford or ever cheered for Milford to be able to watch this. It's I thank you guys.
We thank you for the opportunity. It's a blast. We're excited to start the season here at South Summit with the Tigers and the Wildcats. Good luck tonight, Coach.
Thank you. We're going to need it.
The best live coverage of local sports, weather, local news, and radio classifieds, plus online streaming music, giveaways, and more. It's all on mylocalradio.com. Watch as your high school teams clash with their biggest rivals. Listen to the latest from your team's coaches. Catch up on local and regional news and stream your favorite music. Visit mylocalradio.com. Like us on Facebook and stream it all live.
If you want your truck to really catch the eye, have the professionals at Plains Tire in Evanston install a custom lift kit with new tires and wheels. We've got a huge selection to choose from, so no matter what your style is, We've got the tires and wheels to make you smile. The way your truck looks reflects on you. Get the reflection you want with a lift kit, new tires, and wheels from Plains Tire in Evanston, the tire professionals. 157 Bear River Drive. Stop in today.
And we welcome you back to South Summit High School, where the South Summit Wildcats will be getting ready to take on the Milford Tigers. Here is South Summit Coach John Snyder.
Ryan Steinecker with John Snyder, new head coach of the South Summit Wildcats. Coach, thanks for your time.
You betcha.
You've been involved with the program for a number of years, 6 straight state championship game appearances for the South Summit Wildcats. You guys have had a heck of a run.
Yeah, it's quite the tradition here at South Summit.
You look at the stadium, and for a 2A, now 3A school, it's impressive.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's football country up here, that's for sure.
You can tell that. I'd always thought the gym was a nice gym. It pales. It seems kind of small compared to what you've got for the football team.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a nice venue. So we're lucky to have it.
Coach, tell me about what last year undefeated, right? A state championship, and what do you bring back from that squad this year?
Well, the experience of being on those championship teams the last 2 years. These kids they know what it takes to win. They've seen it, and a lot of them have participated in it, and so they want to just keep this rolling. So that's it.
What kind of experience, or how many guys do you bring back that started last year and will contribute this year?
Oh gosh, I would say at least 5 or 6 on defense, and maybe 4 or 5 on offense, easily, that haven't had experience. And that's starting too. That's not counting kids coming in and getting a lot of time throughout the season. So.
You talk about a guy who's been your quarterback for the last couple of years in Cale Atkinson, and he's on the top, I think, 5 or 6 in Utah high school history of total touchdowns accounted for in a career. How do you replace a guy like that?
Oh, you can't. Cale was awesome and a great kid, but I'll tell you what, Cale went down last year, and Jace Crystal, our starting quarterback this year, he filled in. We went down to Beaver, a tough road game, and we won that with Jace. So Jace has seen. He's kind of been in this situation, and he's seen it. So we feel good. He knows what it takes to win, and he likes the pressure. So
he's obviously an athlete too. He was one of your. He caught a few passes last year. Did some good things outside of the quarterback position.
Oh heck yeah! I mean, we could really put him anywhere. If truth be known, if my freshman quarterback was maybe a little bit heavier right now, I could use him as receiver, at tight end, at wing, at anything, and then he's starting defense too. So. Great all-around athlete.
Tell me from your perspective how this matchup got put in place with you guys winning the last 2 2A championships, Milford winning the last 2 1A titles.
Come again?
How this game got scheduled? How did it get on the schedule?
You know what? I don't know. I think Coach Grayjack, who was the previous coach here, he used to coach down there, and actually they won their last state championship, Milford, when he was there. So I think that he saw that and saw it as a good opportunity, and probably talked to the coaches and set it up. I think it's a great thing, great idea. So,
you being a new coach in your first year, but having been involved with the program for a while, how much do you change up? How much do you keep from the successes that you've had, as far as like day-to-day practice, offense, defense, schemes, things like that?
Well, I changed up the offense just because I come from option football. I was out at Stansbury, and then I was at Mountain View, so. I just have a different philosophy. Not to say that Mike's wasn't. Coach Grayjack, I've never seen anybody run a spread like him, ever. I mean, it's amazing. But also, being in 3A now, we have to use up the clock a little bit now. And so we're looking to chew that clock up, control the ball, control the line of scrimmage, and go from there. And before Coach Grayjack got here, they ran option before anyway. So these kids, it's not a new thing. I mean, they've done it before, so.
How much in preparation is, we got to get ready for our stuff. How much is preparing for the Milford Tigers and what they can do with Bryson Barnes?
Well, we've watched him on film. I mean, what a great athlete. I mean, and he's right there. He's got some records. He's close. I mean, he's.
Apologies, we got to cut that interview short. Game is underway. South Summit received the opening kickoff. Blake Barnes, sophomore for the Milford Tigers, made the tackle. Ball in the left hash. And Jace Crystal in as a senior. Rolls right, throws down the right sideline, just too tall for his intended receiver.
I'll tell you what, that intended receiver definitely had a clear path all the way down. If he just would have pulled that in, that could have been major damage for South Summit to open this one up.
So an incompletion brings up a 2nd and 10.
Wildcats in the huddle.
Wildcats in the green jerseys. You can see that on mylocalradio.com. Milford Tigers, all whites with the red numbers, red numerals, and then the red helmets. A wing T type formation, one man in the backfield. And in motion. Crystal keeps it himself, finds some room upfield across the 40, finally brought down about the 45, and that's Barnes with his 2nd tackle of the day.
The Milford defense really bit hard on that dive right there. Blake Barnes comes back, makes the tackle. Luckily, he was the last defense, or I think the quarterback had a touchdown there.
And that's the type of thing you'd see from Cale Atkinson, who's been the quarterback the last couple of years from South Summit. A different kind of option where the last few years they've run the spread option, but here the option quarterback keeper, he picks up 18 and a 1st down. Ball still left hash. You heard Coach John Snyder talk about now in 3A, we've got to take care of the football a little bit more, eat up some clock. In motion, Dylan Uteraldi, and Crystal keeps it himself, dives forward for a couple.
Bryson Barnes in on the tackle for the Tigers. Stopped that play for a gain of 3.
Tyler, how much of a balancing act is it for Coach Marshall this year Barnes has got to be, I mean, he's one of the best athletes in the state probably. How much do you play him on defense versus keep him healthy for offense?
It's important. He's very key for what they do on offense, but his leadership on defense being on the field, I think, is what's important too, to keep guys in the right places. So they're going to have to watch out throughout the year, but these bigger schools, they may have some issues.
Give to the big boy up the middle, and not much room to go for Cam Sargent.
Which will bring up a 3rd down.
What was that, Cam? I thought that was big number 47, Trayton Sargent. My mistake. And he picks up a couple to the 49. Trayton, a big boy, 6 foot, about 210 pounds as a sophomore.
Definitely a typical option fullback in the offense for South Summit.
Boy, that's the type of guy that Coach Snyder loves to have if you're going to switch to an option offense. 3rd down and 6. South Summit on its opening possession of the football game. Crystal ball fake, throws left sideline. Beebe defending, and the throw a bit behind Jackson Stowe, the junior wideout. 4th down.
Great coverage by Beebe there, not wanting to get beat deep. The Tigers had a coverage mishap on the first play that South Summit ran, and the next 2 pass plays, they were right on it.
Chase Crystal last year in limited action as a quarterback, because, of course, Cale Atkinson was there, but Crystal completed 75% of his passes. So far this season, 0 for 2, and South Summit at midfield going for it on 4th and 6. Man in motion, Crystal back to throw. Rolls left, he's got lots of room. 1st down, big block to the 40. And inside the 40 to move the chains.
Got a flag on the play. Looks like a crackback block is going to be called on South Summit.
Xander Lindsay had a beautiful block back there to spring Crystal. He's probably one of the reasons why that went so long.
So it would have been a gain of about 15, maybe 16 yards. We'll see if they bring this back. South Summit reacting as if it is against the Wildcats. Milford defending the north end zone. Wildcats defending the south end zone in this battle of big cats, the Tigers and the Wildcats, and it is a penalty against South Summit.
Well, you and I had talked back in the studio before this game. One of the keys to beating South Summit is going to get them to play from behind and do it early.
Still brings up 4th down.
Yeah, they lost one game last year against Park City, and Park City jumped out to an early lead. That's the only time that anybody was even close with South Summit last year.
So this bodes well for Milford right now that they're able to put them 4th and long early in this game on the opening drive.
Definitely not a position you want to be in a running style offense. For sure.
Nope.
Option on a 3rd and a 4th and 6, you've got some options.
Yep.
Option offense on a 4th and 15,
Nope.
You're a little limited.
You bet. You know, and 10 years ago in that game of football, that's a great block. But in today's game, it's not going to happen. They ain't letting that happen no more.
The penalty took place right at the Milford 45, 15 yards from there. He's back to the 40-yard line of South Summit, and they line up to punt in this situation. Punter is Xander Metcalf, and a bad snap. He's back to the 10-yard line, scoops it up, looks to run, nowhere to go. Milford will have it at the 10.
I'll tell you what, it may be quite a drive for Milford, but the Milford faithful showed up. They are exploding over there on the far side of the sidelines.
Yeah, they definitely closed down the town to come to this one. That's a pretty big crowd for 3.5 hours away.
Well, and you look at the matchup, 2 state champions for each of these teams. The only negative about this matchup is that one of these great teams, one of these state championship contenders, is going to open the season up with a loss.
Coach Marshall told me before the game, if we come out of here uninjured, we'll consider that a victory. The way his team's playing so far, they're going to go up on the scoreboard if they can get 12 yards, a 1st and 10 at the 12. Barnes fakes the handoff, rolls right, buys some time, corner of the end zone, caught. Was he inbounds? No. And that's Little Bro, wasn't it? It's little
yes, Blake Barnes
Blake.
on the catch. That was a pretty close play right there in the corner of the end zone. It could have been called either way.
And what a toss by Barnes on the run. He threw it where Little Bro could make the play, just couldn't keep those toes in, at least one.
I'm telling you what, Ryan, this is a dream start for Milford, isn't it?
Oh, it is, definitely. In the backfield, Gage Griffiths behind Bryson Barnes in the shotgun. Griffiths moves right, and a flag flies. Not surprising to see. We'll see probably a few more flags, especially like this type of illegal procedure or illegal shift type stuff early on. That doesn't mean Coach Marshall's going to be happy with it.
Looks like that play was on the center. He may have moved the ball illegally before the snap is what they called.
So that gives Milford a little bit more of a tougher situation. Maybe opens the field up a little bit more. A guy like Barnes likes a little more space.
You bet. You bet. This definitely helps their offense out, get them spread out.
Watch Brett Beebe there. He's the near side, number 22 slot position on that left side trips. And there's nobody lined up man-to-man on him. He's super speedy. Barnes in the shotgun. Hard count. So Wildcats jumped a little but didn't move, and Barnes looks to the sideline.
Looks like Jace Crystal's out there in the backfield trying to play zone over there on Beebe, and it looks like he'll have him.
Beebe makes the catch in the left flat, gets a block on the sideline, down inside the 10, pushed out of bounds.
Complete to Brett Beebe. Sophomore.
Looks like there was almost looked like a block in the back on that far sideline, but no penalty flag. And Milford faces a 3rd and 6.
The South Summit faithful wanted the same call that got called on them for sure. It was very close. Close to being a penalty over there.
9-yard gain on the pass to Beebe. 3rd and 6, ball on the left hash. Look again to the sidelines. It's Wes Marshall, the offensive coordinator, right? Son of head coach Thane Marshall.
Yep. Wes is the offensive coordinator.
Both played at Southern Utah University. Barnes throws right side. He's got Sherwood wide open. Touchdown in the back of the end zone. Milford leads 6-0.
And there's a good showing of what an inexperienced quarterback does when a coverage miscue happens. South Summit had the same type of play in the first possession of the game. Their quarterback was able to take advantage, and Barnes stood there and took advantage of the open Sherwood in the back of the end zone.
For Bryson Barnes, that puts his total at 88 passing touchdowns in his high school career. He needs 3 more to join a few others among the top 5 in Utah high school history for passing touchdowns in a career. Extra point is good. The Milford Tigers lead 7-0 with 7:27 left here in the first. We'll take a quick break and be right back with more of the Tigers at the Wildcats on mylocalradio.com.
Light up your world with a custom-built LED sign from Rocky Mountain Sign in Evanston. It's a proven fact that signage that lights up creates more attention. So light it up and then add text, images, and video, and your sign becomes even more powerful. Start sharing your advertising messages and information with your customers today. The team at Rocky Mountain Sign provides all types of quality signage that is custom-built and maintained. Call today for a free quote. Rocky Mountain Sign, 307-789-5202. Rocky Mountain Sign, serving customers in Wyoming, Utah, and Idaho.
Welcome you back to South Summit High School Wildcat Field. where the visiting Milford Tigers strike first. The score is 7-0. Here is Ryan Steinecker and Jake McMullen.
7:27 left in the first quarter, a minute and 20 seconds off the clock for 3 plays to go 12 yards. They actually had to go 17 because of a penalty, but Bryson Barnes does what he does so well, finds a receiver, and it seems like it's like Tom Brady. It doesn't matter who he's throwing to, he'll find him for the touchdown. Zach Sherwood, the recipient of this one, and Milford leads 7-0. Kickoff, nice deep kick out of the back of the end zone after it bounced at the goal line. South Summit will start at its own 20.
And that was one of the biggest things that the Tigers felt that they needed to replace from last year's team was the receivers at the skills position. They moved BB from part-time running back over there, and ultimately it's just been the next guy up for the Tigers, and let's see if these guys can perform as well as the receivers did last year.
Boy, and trying to fill the shoes of guys like Paxton Henry, who is second all-time in Utah high school sports with football with 25 touchdowns last season alone. Only Puka Nakua from Orem, who I believe is playing at USC now, has more touchdowns in a single season receiving. Pitch left side, picking his way forward to out near the 30, a nice 8-yard gain for Cam Sargent.
Blake Barnes in on the tackle for the Tigers. He's been all over the field, playing back there at safety. I don't know if that's a good thing. You want your safety making all your tackles against this triple option wing T style offense that South Summit's running.
No, you've got to have your linebackers or defensive linemen making tackles against an option to be successful defensively. And those guys are going to be key, like Russell Walker, Ike Keller, who a couple of the team leaders in tackles. Walker had 80 tackles last year, 67 tackles for Ike Keller. Those guys will be key on that front line. 2nd and 1, and that's exactly what the option is. It can really kill you at, is giving you a second and short, but that one's stuffed. Cam Sargent nowhere to go.
Carson Cox and Ike Keller in the backfield on that play. That's the first time that the defensive front for Milford has got some good penetration against this offense.
A loss of a yard brings up a 3rd and 2, but that's still a comfortable position for a team like John Snyder's South Summit Wildcats that run this triple option.
You bet. Running the triple, you want to try to get 3 to 4 yards of carry, and you get under that threshold, you're going for it on 4th and 3, 4th and 2.
Crystal sends Uteraldi in motion and gives up the gut to the big boy, Trayton Sargent, who rumbles forward across the 30 to the 34, first down.
Tell you what, Ryan, this is where South Summit really has to start picking apart yardage and slowly kind of have some short gains here, long gains here. Try to get back into this game because, as we talked about earlier, if they get down early, this is where their weakness kind of starts to show.
And especially with this change, wouldn't you say, Tyler? Last year, the spread, they could score quick.
You bet.
With the option, it's not as quick of a.
No, you get down 14 points and you're running triple option. You're chewing a lot of clock, and Barnes scores on an average of 1 minute and 25 seconds. So it's just crazy the speed that the Milford Tigers can score at.
Sargent in motion. Crystal keeps it himself and makes something out of what looked like was going to be less than nothing out across the 40 to the 41.
That was a great read by Crystal. The dive back got hit by Ike Keller and Carson Cox both, and he was able to sneak that ball back out and pick up a good gain for the Wildcats.
Looks like Carson Cox kind of got in there and gave him a big bear hug to keep him from going any further.
You bet.
A beautiful evening in Camas. If you pay attention to this sort of thing, Perry's Power Guide on the Deseret News had South Summit rated at a 68.6, Milford at a 55.7. Quick math, South Summit a 12.9 point favorite, according to Perry's Power Guide. So far, though, it's Milford on top 7-0. Pitch out to the Dart, Sanchez, D'Artagnan out to the right side, couldn't get around the corner. To the 42, brings up a 3rd and short.
Bryson Barnes seen that play out of the backfield and beat the receiver to the spot to be able to stop that for a short gain. Kobe Gillis, playing that left defensive end, also strung that play out to help Barnes make the tackle.
So D'Artagnan Sanchez picks up a single yard. He's a speedy guy. And sets up a 3rd. Again, comfort zone for an option offense, 3rd and 2.
That's one of them plays we talked about earlier about having Barnes on the field on defense. That's a good fundamental tackle, and most other safeties on the team aren't going to do that.
Sargent in the backfield and in motion. Sargent gets it and pushes forward. Second effort, moves the chains.
Another Wildcat.
Tackles made by Kaiden Peters and Blake Barnes for the Tigers after the South Summit rusher picked up the first down.
And that may have actually been Marshall Cox on the carry. Either way, it's a first down for South Summit at the 46-yard line.
Marshall Cox on the carry. Great fight for a first down.
A 4-yard gain for Cox on his first carry.
And South Summit right here is doing exactly what they want to do, methodically moving that ball down the field.
Eating the clock, keeping the ball out of Barnes' hands. Option, pitch out to the left side. Tigers have defenders there, and Cam Sargent with nowhere to go.
Casey Carty engaged Griffiths on the tackle for the Tigers. No gain on the play, and that was picture perfect for defending the triple option around the outside.
Cam Sargent went 9 yards on his first carry. He's gone -1 on his last 2, and it's a 2nd and 11 for South Summit. Milford Tigers lead 7-0 on the MyLocalRadio.com scoreboard. They took advantage of a short field after a muffed punt. A bad snap gave Milford the football at South Summit's 12. A couple plays later, Bryson Barnes found Zach Sherwood for the score in the right corner of the end zone. Ball in the left hash, 2nd and 11.
Passing down for the Wildcats on 2nd and 11.
Crystal back to throw. Pressure coming on the edge. He won't get away. Slings it forward and found an open space for an incomplete pass.
Looked like he was trying to hit Jackson Stowe there, but just a little wide of the mark there.
This South Summit offense, I got to be honest, Tyler, I expected a little more success offensively. What we've seen from Milford's defense is impressing me so far.
And that's the key to the Tigers' defense is them 4 guys across the front. Russell Walker, Carson Cox, Ike Keller, Kobe Gillis. Them guys are big. They all started last year, and they've really right now asserted themselves into this game on the second possession for South Summit.
7-0 Milford. We'll be right back on MyLocalRadio.com.
Hello, this is Dr. McKay Frankham. As a dentist in Evanston for over 20 years now, my mission has always been to provide quality dental care for people of all ages at reasonable prices. I'm a detail-oriented person, and it's important to me to stay current on new dental procedures and protocols that can help my patients have the best experience and have the best results. Over the years, I've also worked to keep my overhead low so that I can pass those savings on to my patients. I believe everyone deserves quality dental care. Please call us today at 307-789-8910.
And we welcome you back to South Summit High School, where the Milford Tigers lead the Wildcats 7-0. Here is Ryan Steinecker and Jake McMullen.
Tyler, Milford been impressive so far defensively. It is 3rd down and 11 for South Summit. Milford already leads 7-0, and South Summit in a tough spot offensively. 3rd and 7 from their own 45. D'Artagnan and Sanchez in motion. Crystal with a couple of ball fakes or handoff fakes, and then a give to Sargent with not much room. He picks up a couple, but well short of the first.
Tigers defense stayed home on that reverse counter on the inside. Russell Walker and Carson Cox read it perfect to stop the Wildcats for a short gain, and it'll bring up another 4th down. Let's see if the Wildcats punt it here. They went for it from midfield on their first possession.
That's just all about discipline, isn't it? Staying home despite some handoff fakes going different directions.
You bet. It's about maintaining your gap assignment on defense and staying home, not trying to be a hero and trust that everybody's going to do their job.
Trust in your teammates. That's a big part of that, isn't it?
You bet.
Lined up to punt. Good snap this time, and a nice line drive, wobbly punt. Beebe calls for the fair catch at the 19.
Now, Ryan, it looks like we're going to see a real first look at this South Summit defense, and we'll see if they can try to stop Bryce Barnes. He kind of picked him apart with that short field in the last drive.
So Milford takes over at their own 19-yard line, 1st and 10. They lead 7-0, 2:27 left in this first quarter. You said Barnes and the Milford offense averages a score, what?
It was just a guess, but I mean, I swear it's like a minute 25. I mean, it's not,
Tyler.
It's not nothing that's set in stone. But anybody that's watched them play will agree that it sure does go fast.
That's all right. 90% of statistics are made up on the spot.
You bet.
As was that statistic. Barnes in the shotgun, 2 receivers left, 2 wide right. Beebe in motion. Don't be surprised if he gets a handoff here and there. Give up the middle to Griffiths for a couple.
Number 17.
Tigers offense run the ball just enough to keep the offense or the defense honest.
77, Schaefer Meyer.
Everybody thinks the spreads throw the ball around. I actually got some numbers from Coach Wes Marshall from last year's team. They actually ran the ball 53% of the time compared to 47% passes. That was the final stat from last year's season.
Barnes again in the shotgun. Looks to the sideline. And they line up, and then they get a call from the offense based on what they see from the defense. Barnes sends Griffiths in motion, empty backfield. Looking to throw. Tucks and runs. Gets a block on the corner. He's across the 30, 35, back into the 40. Spins across the 45. And a nice athletic run for Bryson Barnes and a big first down.
Barnes dropped back to pass. Seen South Summit was dropped back into a man coverage with their linebackers in zone. And he's seen a hole, seen his receivers were all covered, and took off out of the backfield. And that's that state championship track speed that we talked about earlier in the pregame.
Barnes with 12 rushing touchdowns a year ago. As a junior, he accounted for 60 touchdowns. That's more than about 55 other teams around the state scored total. Over the middle, he's got his man caught by Blake Barnes. Little bro, big bro to little bro across the inside the 40-yard line. Another first down.
Blake Barnes is a sophomore.
Right to the South Summit 40. So give him 13 yards on that completion. That puts Barnes at 3 of 4 for 30 yards and a touchdown so far in his senior season. Getting some attention from some big schools around the nation and some inside the state. Barnes drops back, great protection, steps up, then rolls right, looks, there's Beebe. Oh, not Beebe, but Barnes, and he lets it in and out of his hands, incomplete.
Barnes got a little rattled. He had Beebe open behind the coverage on the left side of the field. Let's see if Coach Marshall picked up on that.
Stops the clock at 1:14. Clock continues to run despite the incompletion. I've seen the Whitecap official continue to say, stop the clock, stop the clock. About 7 seconds ran off, but this early in the game, probably not too worried about it. 2nd and 10. For the Milford offense at the South Summit 40. Back to throw, Barnes, pressure coming up the middle. Great block by Griffiths. Down the left sideline, he's got his man. Beebe makes a move, it's a race to the goal, and he's caught just barely at about the 3.
Barnes threw that ball from the right hash all the way across to the far sideline on a frozen rope to Beebe.
You talk about guys like Barnes, that's down to the 2, so a 38-yard gain, and you question, you think about things like, does he have the arm strength? You just saw it, Tyler.
You bet. You bet. That's a throw they make in the pros in college, and he did that with ease. When I first seen what was going on, I thought for sure he was going to air one out to Beebe. Got a little pressure and put the ball on a rope.
That's a nice target for Barnes to look for. Brett Beebe, the speed he has at 4.40. That's NFL caliber speed right there in number 22 for Milford.
He's a great Beebe's a great athlete. He's going to be a real big asset to Barnes. A whole different atmosphere for teams to prepare for with the speed that Beebe has.
Barnes under center. He'll keep it himself and pushes forward. He's in. Let's get the indication. Still no official indication. There's the touchdown signal from the line judge. And the Milford Tigers are on top 13-0. A 2-yard touchdown run for Bryson Barnes. And credit those big boys up front. Ryder Ambrose, the center, and those other 4 guys.
Barnes just put his head down from the 2, got it in the end zone. And I want to mention, Ryan, that there was 2 minutes and 36 seconds on the clock when Milford started that drive.
All right, so by your calculations, as the extra point is blocked, 2 minutes and what?
36 seconds. So I was pretty close.
You're real close.
It was about a minute and a half, right?
My goodness, yeah, 42 seconds left. I'm not gonna. I can't figure out that math. And time isn't it at 60 seconds rather than 100? I can't figure stuff out like that. But
can't count by tens with your hands and toes.
That's right.
You can't
that's
count.
right.
It looks like Hunter Zenger was the man who got his hand in on that. So a good play to try to limit the gap here, but fast start by Milford.
5 plays, 81 yards, a big chunk of that coming on a 38-yard pass and catch from Bryson Barnes to Brett Beebe. And we trying to replace a guy like Paxton Henry, and for most, especially 1A, 2A schools, that's a tough job and probably impossible most of the time. But Milford right now with the talent, the speed, the guys to do it.
You bet. You bet. And, and listening to Coach Marshall's pregame interview, with the speed that BB has over Henry, that's definitely an upgrade to the position.
That's a crazy thing because Henry, if not for a guy who's playing for USC, Henry is the all-time leader in Utah high school football for touchdown receptions in a season. You replace that guy with somebody better who's a junior,
you bet.
Tyler, it's not fair.
It's not.
It's not fair to the rest of the state.
And this possession right here is crucial for South Summit. They need to get something going, run some more time off the clock, try to get a touchdown, keep the ball out of the Tigers' offense's hands.
High kick, fielded right at the goal line, and that's a touchback as Juan Ramirez stepped, I believe that's Ramirez, stepped back across inside the goal.
And that's 2 straight touchback kicks for the Tigers kicker, Dylan Ferguson, number 81, who's a sophomore for the Tigers this year.
Tyler and Elon, we've talked about South Summit and their 6-year run of 6 consecutive title game appearances, 4 state championships. Milford's on an upward trajectory. They're not at that top of, they're now at the top of the peak, but they struggled a few years ago. In 2013, was it? Just 5-5, I think. In 2016, they only beat opponents by an average of 4 points, but the last 2 years, state championships, tons of wins. Crystal back to throw, flushed right, tucks, and takes it out of bounds, a gain of about 8. But Milford, it's just been interesting to see what they've done, the change that's been made since Coach Thane Marshall took over in 2015, I think was his first year, or 14.
Yeah. The year they went 5-5 was his first year. He come into the program, had some good athletes. He come in a great football mind himself, brought in some great assistants to come in and help. And as a head coach myself, a head coach is only as good as the guys that he can get as assistants to help him. That's one of the big things that makes a team go.
Crystal picked up 8. It's 2nd and 2. Fakes a handoff, keeps it himself. It looked like almost a run-pass option as he caught that ball like he wanted to throw for Cam Sargent. Dives across the 30, first down for Crystal and the Wildcats.
Russell Walker in on the tackle for the Tigers. He played right defensive end, stayed home, did his job. Good play by the South Summit quarterback, picking up a first down and keeping the drive alive.
Barnes found Zach Sherwood for the first score of the day, and then Bryson Barnes, a 2-yard quarterback keeper right up the middle for the second score. Second extra point was blocked. It's 13-0 Milford as we reach the end of quarter number 1. 2 consecutive titles for Milford in 1A, 2 consecutive in 2A for the South Summit Wildcats. So far, it's been all Milford. 13-0, second quarter coming up when we return on MyLocalRadio.com.
Do you really think you can get a better deal on a vehicle in the city? Poppycock! Rocky Mountain Yeti is hungry for your business and will beat any bona fide deal on any vehicle, or they'll give it to you as a gift. Now that's legendary. Rocky Mountain Yeti Evanston, home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile legendary warranty, where legendary customer service is not a myth.
When you run a farm or ranch, you understand how important water is when it comes to your animals. Not only does it matter for the overall health of your animals, but it directly ties to your bottom line. Ellingford Brothers sells cement water troughs and custom-built critter ladders, culverts, head gates, and septic tanks. See how Ellingford Brothers can help you with water options for your farm or ranch. Call today, 307-789-1515. That's 789-1515.
And welcome back to South Summit High School in pristine Kansas, Utah, where the Milford Tigers lead the South Summit Wildcats 13-0. Here is Ryan Steinekert and Tyler McMullen.
Thanks, Elon. The Milford Tigers on defense, where they've been at time of possession, South Summit leads, but scoreboard, that's where it matters. Milford on top, 13-0.
And that's one thing I think the Tigers defense is used to from the last 2 years, is being on the field.
Crystal with a man open over the middle. Cam Sargent at the 50 makes a move to the 45, 40, and he stood up there and dropped, but a big gain for this South Summit offense.
Bryson Barnes on a tackle for the Tigers, and a great play for South Summit coming into the second quarter. Try to pick up some momentum on offense and make something happen.
30 yards on the pass and catch from Crystal to Cam Sargent. Cam last year, 30 receptions, 502 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's 16.5 per reception. Picks up 30 on that one.
Really quick, D'Artagnan Sanchez just checked in. He's the speedster, so he'll be one to watch on the near side.
Sargent on the right side wing back, and here comes Dart in motion. Pitch out to him. Around the corner, can't quite get around that defense, and Colby Gillis. That was an impressive play by Gillis there to
fighting off the block from the tackle and the wing back there. Gillis double teamed, got outside leverage, and took away the sideline from the South Summit runner.
A loss of 2. And those plays like that where you pitch it back and try to get around the outside, it's kind of a high-risk reward. You risk losing 2 or 3 or picking up 8 or 10 or more.
Well, right now, Milford's defenses appear to have the number on the run. Doesn't matter if they're going around or if they're going straight through. They're doing a great job stopping it.
2nd down and 12. Sargent in motion. Looks like maybe a broken play, and Crystal is wrapped up and smashed in the backfield. A big loss, another 8 yards back.
Gage Griffiths from the middle linebacker position for the Tigers. Showed his blitz, ran across, penetrated, and got to the quarterback. Big sack on the play for the Tigers.
They'll spot it at the 49, just on South Summit or Milford's side of the 50. We'll call it a sack of a loss of 8 yards. And Tyler, think about this for a second. You're a guy from Milford. You played at Beaver, and you know what South Summit has been the last couple of years. Coming into tonight's game, what was your honest confidence level for this Milford team against South Summit? Don't answer quite yet after the play. 3rd down and a mile, 20 yards to go. Crystal back to throw. Pressure comes, steps forward, throws on the run, caught and sliding down. The catch was made by Braden Stevens.
Bryson Barnes on the tackle for the Tigers. On the question, the Tigers didn't really know what to expect. I think the biggest thing is wondering if they were going to be able to step up to the competition level of somebody that is a higher classification there. Personally, I thought that with what the Tigers had coming back, that I felt like that we could compete in this ball game.
You were right. Look at you, the prognosticator, Tyler McMullen. 4th down and 7. Crystal back to throw. Pressure comes. He will not get away. He heaves it at the last second, and tip knocked down. Milford football on a failed 4th down conversion attempt.
In a day and age, Ryan, where safeties preach, that was a play that should have been called dead and just didn't save the quarterback. That's a very dangerous play, what was going on there.
His progress was definitely stopped, and he was spun around a time or two. Either way, good to see he's okay, comes off the field, or he stays out there to play defense. Milford takes over at its own 36-yard line.
You know, Ryan, South Summit went to the air a little bit more that drive than what we saw in the first quarter, and it was their most successful drive on offense. Yeah, they don't get points, but maybe they're starting to put together a game plan that can put them back in this ballgame.
One of the things that Coach Marshall mentioned is that his coaching staff is so good at making adjustments on the fly. Barnes fakes the handoff, keeps it himself, and Wildcats stuff it. Nowhere to go for Bryson.
Great play by Marshall Cox for the Wildcats on defense. Stayed home and limited Barnes to a gain of 1.
Tigers running the no huddle.
Milford attacking right to left. That's south to north here at South Summit High School, the Wildcat Stadium, and what a beautiful stadium it is. They've made good use of it with 4 state titles in the last 6 years. A flag flies. South Summit with 8 state titles in its history. The last 2 won by Mike Grajek, who won Milford's first state title as coach in 1993. Milford's last 2 have come with Thane Marshall at the head. And Coach Marshall has his name in the history books of Utah high school football. Averaged 6th all-time, 208 rushing yards per season or per game in 1983 over the course of that 1983 season. That's 6th all-time in Utah high school record books. A 5-yard penalty. And all my yakking, what was the penalty? Was it a false start?
False start. Looked like it was on the center again.
That's 2 penalties, 10 yards against Milford. Brings up a 2nd and long. Barnes fakes the handoff, throws behind Sherwood, incomplete.
Barnes throwing out here to Sherwood.
Good coverage on the play by number 4, Marshall Cox for South Summit.
At the 32-yard line after the penalty and then the incompletion. That stops the clock at 8 minutes. Whitecap official needs another extra bit of a timeout. Incomplete pass. And is there some miscommunication between what's happening on the field and actual score clock running? Is that?
Yep, they're not stopping the clock on the incomplete passes.
And Tyler, you're from the Beaver County, Milford, Beaver area. Al Marshall was the head coach of Thane Marshall when in those 80s years, and Al, one of the all-time winningest coaches in Utah high school history. Any relation between those guys?
I would say they are distant relations.
But it's not father, son, uncle, nephew, anything like that, but distant relation probably. Okay. Yep. Interesting. Barnes with a hard count and gets the offsides. That'll shorten up that 3rd down and long. South Summit's 2nd penalty of the game.
Encroachment by the Wildcats.
For 20 yards. Last one was a personal foul, 15-yarder.
So right now we're at 2 penalties each on each team?
Correct.
That's a pretty low number for a first game of the season.
I was just thinking the same thing. First game of the year. We're almost midway through the 2nd quarter. Barnes in the shotgun, takes the snap, 3rd and 8, throws to the right sideline, and a rare inaccurate throw from Barnes, looking for Blake Barnes. That was thrown too high, out of bounds.
South Summit got some pressure on Barnes right there on the defensive front. When he stepped up to throw, he had nowhere to go. Looked like they hit his arm and caused the ball to fly high.
So a 4th down and 9 for this Milford Tiger offense. It had scored on its first 2 possessions, but looks like we'll be forced to punt it away. South Summit's adjustments came through on that defensive possession. And is that BB to punt?
That's BB back to punt, yep.
Good snap, and steps to his right, and a low line drive punt. Scooped up, and a dangerous play by Dart Sanchez. He's hit down at the 33.
Number 7, Heston Sullivan on the punt coverage.
So South Summit with its best starting field position of the game.
That was a big defensive stop by the Wildcats. Let's see if they can get something going on offense here.
You said that was a big big possession. If South Summit goes down by 3 touchdowns, they're in big trouble. I mean, they're in trouble still, down 13-0, but a big stop there defensively, as you said, Tyler.
And the Tigers taking the ball to start the 2nd half as well.
True. A very good observation. 1 wide out, wide left, man wide right is Braden Stevens, rather. Big Trayton Sargent in the backfield, the fullback behind Jace Crystal. Wildcats attacking left to right, north to south. Give up the middle to Trayton Sargent, and you think there's a hole there, but it closes in a hurry.
Kobe Gillis and Kasich Hardy on the tackle for the Tigers.
And Trayton Sargent, boy, his size is 6 foot and 200, let me get this right, 210 pounds. You'd think he'd have a little more success, but so far the Milford defense shutting him down. 3 carries, 8 yards.
Hey, you look across the front of the Tigers on defense, you know, the 2 big guys in the middle are both well over 200 pounds, and their middle linebackers pretty tough in there too. So they do match up size-wise in the middle.
Ball right in the middle of the field. Cam Sargent, the man in motion. A little bit of trickery and nowhere to go for the Dart. Back at the 30, he's brought down for a loss of 4.
Kobe Gillis and Gage Griffiths defending that option play just like it was written down on the play card for the Tigers.
Milford probably a little more size than a lot of 1A teams or 2A football teams. You'll probably see Beaver and Duchesne, maybe Millard with a similar size, but a few of those others like Kanab and Rich probably won't be as big. But talking with Coach Marshall before the game, he said, I think we'll match up size and speed-wise, but depth may be an issue. And you look at the sideline right in front of us, a lot of more green jerseys than the whites on the far side for Milford.
Yeah, and that's the difference that you see of the upper classifications. That's one of the big things.
Crystal hit hard as he threw. Beebe lets the interception go in and out of his hands, but it'll be 4th and 12.
Again, Kobe Gillis and Carson Cox on the pressure. Beebe on the coverage lets an interception slip between his hands. Bring up a 4th down and about 13 for the Wildcats.
This is impressive so far from the Milford defense. Jace Crystal last year as a backup quarterback completed 75% of his passes. So far today, 2 of 7, 43 yards. 4th down and long. 6:11 left in the second quarter. Milford leads 13-0. South Summit punting. A short punt by Metcalf. Sherwood calls for the fair catch. Not Sherwood, Beebe, and makes it at the 36.
One thing that we can see right here, the Tigers defense has consistently showed that they've been able to stop South Summit. Like I keep saying, that this is a big moment for the South Summit defense to see if they can stay in this ball game with 6:11 to go in the first half.
Milford offense. Coach Marshall mentioned to me that his coaching staff, the guys he has helping him coach, are excellent at adjusting. We'll see what adjustments they make after having to punt on a 3-and-out their last possession. There's the whistle. Barnes in the shotgun. Trips right. Sends Griffiths up in motion to his left hip. Snap. Barnes pulls it, throws over the middle. He's got his man caught about the 48.
Play action. Barnes.
And is that Beebe who made
Beebe
the
with
catch?
the reception, yep.
That'll move the chains on a 12-yard gain to the 48.
Barnes froze the linebackers, got him to suck up on the play action, and Beebe snuck in right behind on a quick crossing route. Good enough for 12 yards.
What kind of, that's got to be great communication for Barnes and Griffiths to say, I'm going to hold it in there until I'm ready. You can't just take it until I actually give it to you. How does that work?
Yep, they've played together since they were 5th graders in football, and they've definitely got that mesh down on that read.
Beebe in motion to the right side. Barnes fakes the throw out there, and then he's hit from behind and brought down for the sack.
A big sack on Barnes.
Schaefer Myers on the sack for the Wildcats with the pressure off the edge.
Back to the 43-yard line, a loss of 5 yards.
Returning starters from last year's state championship team.
Milford in a 2nd and long.
2nd and long.
15 yards to go with time ticking in the second quarter, just over 5 minutes. Trips left. Pressure coming from the right side. Griffiths picks it up. Barnes throws, and in and out of the hands of Blake Barnes, excuse me.
By Barnes, great play by Taylor Lamb on the coverage.
Barnes hit right as the ball got there. Good defensive play.
Brings up 3rd and long.
Big play coming up
Great
for
job,
the Wildcats. They have to figure out a way to stop Barnes and the Tigers from getting this first down.
Sherwood a big target, not just because Barnes likes to throw there, but he is big, 6'6". Is that middle slot man here on this left side, or on this near side if you're watching online at mylocalradio.com. Empty backfield, just Barnes back there. In the shotgun, steps back, looks over the middle. He's got Beebe. It's high and picked off at the 40, slipping forward to near the 44. Bryson threw just 5 of those type passes, interceptions last year in all of the season, and here's his first of 2019.
Making the interception was Jace Crystal, so he kind of comes up and says, you know what, I'll take that, and I'll take it right here.
From quarterback to quarterback. And South Summit takes over 1st and 10 at its own 44-yard line, its best field position of the day. 4:53, plenty of time, even for a slow, methodical offense that Coach Snyder wants to run. Crystal fakes the handoff, tries to go, and he's ripped back. My goodness.
Ike Keller on the tackle for the Tigers. He was not going to let the quarterback go nowhere on that play.
Crystal, and I thought he was going to get a couple of steps and then take off, but Ike said, no, I don't think so. You're not going anywhere, young man. Keller, boy, the strength there, that was impressive. 67 tackles, 3 sacks a year ago as an interior lineman. That's impressive.
And probably fighting double and triple teams all season long, still put up them numbers.
Coach Marshall told me he's put on a few pounds too. He's up to about 285 this year. 2nd and 10. No gain on that last run. Crystal back to throw. Pressure comes. He gets away long enough to throw, and almost picked off by Blake Barnes.
Gage Griffiths and Kasich Hardy with the pressure on the quarterback. The linebackers coming up the middle for the Tigers. They had a free run at the South Summit quarterback.
And Crystal, every time he drops back to pass, their pressure is coming. Is Milford disguising coverages and blitzes, or are they just getting that pressure?
You know, Ryan, every time I've seen the linebackers blitz, they've been up on the line of scrimmage. I mean, they're showing that they're coming.
They're just getting through.
But like we talked about, if they're taking 2 guys to block Keller, it's going to free somebody up to get through.
Trips on the left side as South Summit lines up in what looks like a likely passing formation on a 3rd and 10. Crystal, flush left, throws and makes the catch on the left side. Uteraldi inside the 40 on the left sideline, or the far sideline, a first down. And Crystal with a nice throw.
You know, Ryan, that was a play that Crystal had to make to keep the momentum from the interception, to try to put some points on the board before the half. I mean, you go down 13-0 at the half with, as you mentioned, Jake, with Milford getting the ball, you're in a world of hurt. You got to get something here.
And that was a play that looked very similar to what I seen Atkinson do last year, getting out of the pocket, making throws to his wide receivers. And that may be something they want to look at. Maybe Crystal's more comfortable in getting in that setting of rolling out and throwing outside the pocket.
Crystal under center. The man behind him is a big Trayton Sargent. Gets away from a would-be tackler and flings it downfield incomplete.
Ike Keller on the pressure for the Tigers up the middle again.
Brings up 2nd and 10.
We were talking about the pass rush earlier, Tyler, and one thing I've noticed from Milford in the pregame warm-ups, you see a lot of teams just kind of running through, and it's kind of half effort. I don't want to say a bad word, or else I'd say something else, but about half effort. But from Milford in the pregame warm-ups, especially from those guys on the D-line, they are going full out, aren't they? I mean, that makes a big difference?
Yeah, and that's just the competitive mentality that they build into these kids, that every time you take a rep, you're full go. It's play like you practice all day long.
Sargent in motion. Give to the other Sargent. Trayton breaks one tackle, and then he stood up and driven to the turf. Gain of a couple.
Ike Keller, Carson Cox, Blake Barnes, Kasich Hardy, a whole host of Tigers in, stopping that running game.
And again, they're not disguising it at all, Tyler. They're showing, saying, here's what we got, beat us if you can.
You bet. And I believe that may be where South Summit has had some success passing the football is they've caught them little holes, that they've caught the Tigers in a blitz and the pressure up the field. So
brings up a 3rd and 9 with Milford on top, 13-0 on the mylocalradio.com scoreboard. Dart in motion. Crystal back to throw. Big block by Dart down the right sideline. Good throw, but some tangled up defense, and Heston Sullivan right there, step for step with Braden Stevens.
Great coverage by Sullivan on the defense, and just a reminder for the fans at home, this is not the pros. They do not have to turn and find the football. Sullivan was step for step with the receiver.
I like that reminder, Tyler. That was right on target. And a very good point. Brings up 4th and 9. South Summit in a punting formation. Barnes drops back last second. A long time to get that punt off, and it's blocked. Milford chasing it down on the sideline, and the ball dead at about the 34, Milford football. That was, you could tell that was going to be trouble just because of how long it took Xander Metcalf to get that punt off.
Let everybody know that the Booster Club is selling all of last year's booster apparel for 50% off.
So Milford from its own 35-yard line, a punt of 4 yards on the block. Second quarter, 2:53. Bryson Barnes needs a minute and 25 seconds to score. He's got 2:53, right, Tyler?
Yep, plenty of time for the Tigers offense to get in the end zone here.
Barnes averaged 408 yards of offense, passing and rushing combined the last 4 games of last year. That's another little stat about his danger. Throw to Griffiths on a screen, and he lets it slip in and out of his hands. Barnes, an uncharacteristic 5 of 12, under 50% completion.
Yeah, he's putting some of them balls right on his receivers too, Ryan, and they're going in and out of the hands. But the Wildcats defense have put some pressure on him and got him out of his comfort zone a little bit.
Trips to the left. Clock stopped at 2:49. 13-0 Milford. Empty backfield with Barnes in the shotgun. Steps back. Plenty of time. This one. Deep throw over the middle, and Jace Crystal picks it off, but a flag flies. Intended for Brett Beebe, and he went down. You could see the contact that knocked Beebe to the ground.
Great play by Crystal. It just looked like he went through Beebe just a little bit too much to get that interception.
We'll see what we got sorted out here.
Likely a pass interference. We'll wait for a second and see the official indication from the officials. Boy, that could have been a big play either way. It is a pass. Is it? Yes. Yes.
It's like a 15-yard pass interference.
Pass interference. That's 35 yards on 3 penalties against South Summit and gives Milford a first down at midfield.
And most importantly, it negates the interception. I mean, he threw 5 all year last year, and that would have been his second of the game if that held up.
Milford playing too deep. It might be hard for Barnes to find somebody deep. Not in traffic. Quick throw out to the side, and Beebe lets that slip in and out of his hands. And can you chalk this up? That's like 4 drops now. Can you chalk it up to like first game jitters or something?
Yeah, just looked like he was trying to run before he caught the football. Fundamental stuff the Tigers have worked on all summer.
Step up against a team of a higher classification. Maybe you think you got to do things a little bit quicker, and guys putting extra pressure on themselves to catch the ball and make a play. Barnes with the quarterback keeper. Great block on that right side. Breaks a tackle and goes backwards a yard or 2. But a good gain to set up a 3rd and short. Spot at the 45-yard line. A 5-yard gain. Barnes with 4 carries, 35 yards, 5 of 13, 80 yards, a touchdown, and a pick through the air.
Tigers with no huddle.
Quickly back to the line of scrimmage. 2 receivers right, 2 left. Beebe comes in motion and goes back to the right side. Barnes back to throw. Sherwood, first down and a little bit more.
He gets out of bounds, stops the clock.
And a big guy like that at 6'6", that's good footwork and creating some space.
Yeah, Barnes knows he's just got to get that ball up in the general area, and Sherwood's going to go up and get it. Great play design and call by Coach Marshall for the Tigers to pick up the necessary yards for a first down.
Give him 8 yards and a first down with time running down, 1:59. Sherwood got out of bounds, so they stopped the clock. And for this Tiger offense, from what we saw the last 2 years and their first 2 possessions of this season, they can score. They don't need that full 157 likely. Bobbled on the sideline, but pulled in just before stepping out.
Heston Sullivan on the catch for the Tigers. Gain of about 12 on the play.
I'll spot him right at the 25, so 12 is right on the money. Tyler? Barnes now 7 of 15 for 100 yards passing.
Tigers are going to take a timeout. Oh, South Summit's going to take a timeout right here. And one quick thing before we go to the break, the Tigers have looked like they're going for some little short passing routes right here on this drive, and it seems to be working out. So they've made some adjustment here to the first in this drive.
We'll take one quick timeout. 1:53 left in this first half on mylocalradio.com. The best place to stay when you're in Casper, Wyoming is the Come On In Hotel and Suites. This beautiful log hotel offers 5 hot tubs, 1 pool, a fitness center, and fabulous indoor atrium. Offering jacuzzi and fireplace suites, the guest rooms are comfortable and relaxing. Plus, every stay includes a delicious extended continental breakfast. Whenever you're in Casper, stay at the best place. Come on in, Hotel and Suites. Come on in today. Come on in, Hotel and Suites, Casper. South Summit had the first possession. A bad snap gave the Tigers the football at the South Summit 12. Barnes found Sherwood in the back of the end zone to make it 6-0. Extra point was good. Very next possession, Milford marched 81 yards in 5 plays to make it 13-0. The PAT was blocked. And so Milford leads 13-0. A 3rd down and 12. 3rd down goal at the 12. Barnes has a quick word with Brett Beebe. 2 receivers right, 2 left. And he's got Beebe wide open, back front of the end zone, caught. The word was, hey, let's fake the out and then go up.
Yep, out and up. So Beebe, South Summit bit on the out, and Beebe got to the back of the end zone.
A 13-yard touchdown pass, Beebe's first of the season. He had 3 touchdown receptions last year, including, I think, 2 in the state championship game. And BB's up to 82 receiving yards. Barnes with his second passing touchdown of the season. Milford, though, up 19-0, going to go for 2. Make it an even 21 is the hope. A bunch with trips right. Fake to Griffiths. Barnes rolls right, buys time, throws high, looking for Sherwood. Back corner, incomplete. 10 plays to go 65 yards. The 2-point conversion fails. And Milford leads by 3 scores, 19-0 on the mylocalradio.com scoreboard. 22 seconds left in this first half, and South Summit in some trouble on their home field. I don't know how much, you probably can't look anything into how the rest of South Summit's season will go, because it is a first season, new scheme, new offense, new coach, also against a 2A opponent where they'll play 3A the rest of the season.
And to go along with that, they are in the toughest 3A region that they have in the state. I mean, that's going to be a good region. It's about this. I mean, it's the same as, Milford's in the toughest region in 2A. South Summit's in the toughest region in 3A.
Juan Diego, Morgan, the Summit Academy.
Yep.
Some
defending champion Summit Academy.
Yeah. Tough region for South Summit. And this is, we're not saying, and now I don't want to be clear, let's be clear here, we're not saying South Summit has a long way to go. We don't know.
No, we don't.
What we're seeing is something very impressive from Milford in a 19-0 lead. And surely the coaching staff for Milford is going to come out of this game saying, we have a long way to go.
You bet.
Even if they hold on and win this game. Here's the kickoff. A high kickoff, fielded at the 26, and poof, run into a wall at the 35. Short return. South Summit with 18 seconds left in the first half.
Dom Tixon on the return there for South Summit.
South Summit from its own 35. Milford will be at Gunnison Valley next week. Then takes on, returns home the season home opener August 30th versus Ogden. And Tyler, you'll be on the call for that one?
You bet. We'll be on KSL Live, linked up, broadcasting there from Milford High School.
Then we'll take on Duchesne, Beaver, Enterprise, Kanab at Millard versus Parowan at North Sevier. That one versus Parowan, probably a big one. Ball on the turf. Milford has it at the 35 with 17.7 to go.
It looked like Crystal was going to hand it off to Trayton Sargent, and then just some miscommunication, and all of a sudden the ball ends up on the ground.
And that's a real tricky mesh point there with that triple option. The fullback's trained that if you feel any bit of a tug, you let it go, let the quarterback keep it. And that's what looked like what happened there, a little bit miscommunication.
And was it Carson Cox who fell on it?
Carson Cox with the recovery for the Tigers.
So this is an interesting spot here. 17.7 to go. Milford has 1 or 2 timeouts left.
2 timeouts left.
Two timeouts left, and from the South Summit 35, that's time for 3 plays, maybe 4, probably not 4.
Very crucial to South Summit's defense to get a stop here.
Barnes back to throw. Pressure comes. He steps up, spins away, steps back, looks to throw. He's got his man at the 10. BB to the 5. Touchdown, Milford Tigers. He did not step out, and I thought it might take 2 or 3 plays. It takes 1.
And South Summit got the pressure on Barnes. They just didn't wrap him up in the backfield. He was able to battle through the tackle, step up, and had BB coming across and put the ball right on the money as BB gets into the end zone.
That takes your average way down from a minute 25 to
It helps the
10.
last drive average when we started at 2:38.
Milford to attempt the extra point. A high snap, picked up, nowhere to go, and Blake Barnes is hammered. But Milford leads 25-0. Just 2 minutes and 45 seconds ago in game time, Milford had a 2-touchdown lead. They open it way up, and against a good team like Milford, you can't give turnovers at your own 35, even with 17 seconds left in the half.
Yep, and that was number 25, Jackson Stowe, on the wrap-up on the extra point. And that just goes back. The coach probably called in a safe play, maybe going to go in, run the clock, run into halftime, and they put the ball on the floor. And that's one thing that I've personally seen the Milford Tigers do over the last 2 or 3 years is take advantage of them turnover opportunities.
So Barnes, his numbers, especially after an incompletion, interception, and then 2 more incompletions, looked pedestrian. 5 of 13 for 80 yards, a touchdown and a pick. But he's completed his last 5 for about 70 yards, and he's up to a total 10 of 18, 158 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick.
And he's 1 out of away from being top 5 in passing touchdowns now.
1 more touchdown, and he puts himself in the top 5 all-time Utah high school football for career touchdowns. That's impressive.
Could be seeing history here on mylocalradio.com in a minute.
Beebe with 117 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Low, short kicks, filled it at the 12. All the way across to the near sideline. South Summit with some room to run. That's Jackson Stowe, and it looked like a helmet-to-helmet, maybe some late contact as well.
Both teams have played a very relatively clean game. We've had the 1 fumble and the 1 interception for each team having 1 turnover. Is that correct?
Correct. 8.1 second left to go, enough for 1 play. Does South Summit heave it for the end zone or just take a knee?
The Tigers are in 4 deep coverage.
Crystal under center, takes the snap, steps
Dropping back.
Flushed away from pressure, heaves down the middle of the
Throws
field.
it up.
Barnes had the best crack at it. It falls incomplete.
Intended for Jackson Stowe.
Milford on top big, 25-0. And this battle of state champs twice over the last 2 years in 1A and 2A. This year it's Milford in 2A leading 25-0 over the 3A South Summit Wildcats. Halftime is coming up. We'll give you some halftime stats and highlights when we return on mylocalradio.com.
You're in good hands when you choose Dr. Stosage and Dr. Buick at Wyoming Dental Specialties for dental implants and wisdom tooth extractions. They work with passion and focus. They use techniques and technologies that are modern and precise. With 2 decades of experience, their skills are highly specialized. If you need teeth extractions or dental implants placed, come see Dr. Stosage or Dr. Buick at Wyoming Dental Specialties, 50 Park Road, or call us at 307-789-9034.
With a fresh salad bar featuring many different types of salads, soup, and a baked potato bar, there's something for everyone at the Legal Tender restaurant inside the Best Western Dunmar Inn in Evanston, Wyoming. The Legal Tender got its name from owner Jack Dub Mills, a retired FBI agent. Dub interviewed many notorious gangsters like Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. The restaurant is full of original photography and history you won't find anywhere else. Come in today, the Legal Tender Restaurant, 1601 Harrison Drive, Evanston, Wyoming. Uintah County School District Number 1 has been committed to excellence since its beginning in 1870. This commitment is not only reflected in student education, but in our school buildings and facilities over the years. The staff at Uintah County School District Number 1 works hard to provide clean, comfortable, and safe learning environments for student learning. No matter what department you're working with, at Uintah County School District Number 1, you will always find us striving for the pathway to excellence.
We're here to help strengthen our community. Yes, that's right. At Trona Valley Federal Credit Union, we take pride in belonging to our community. We encourage people of every race, gender, and belief to come together and give their all towards the betterment of our community. It's about people helping people. When you join our credit union, you also join a movement. At Trona Valley, we are thankful for our members, member NCUA, trust NCUA, a credit union system that is safe, sound, and secure.
And we welcome you back to South Summit High School here in Camas, Utah. It is halftime, and the Tigers of Milford dominating this one of a score 25-0. Here is Ryan Steinekert and Tyler McMullen.
Thanks, Elin. The Milford Tigers with a big lead and a big first half, 25 points. That last 2 minutes and 53 seconds, they scored twice as Bryson Barnes found Brett Beebe 2 times in those final minutes of the first half. And it's been Bryson Barnes. I mean, he's got 158 passing yards, 44 rushing yards. He's done it all for this team, and there's so much around him, but the numbers are on his, give him the highlight kind of a thing.
Yeah, Beebe stepped up big doing his job in the first half. He had one drop pass, and that's one thing that Barnes learned playing at a small school football type deal is you're going to have guys dropping the ball, but the options are limited coming from your sidelines, so you got to keep throwing them the ball and that hopefully make plays for you. And that's how Beebe, he had a couple drops. He turned around and made 2 big plays for Barnes.
So Barnes with let me just do some 158 plus 44. He's got 202 yards of offense. Take away 12 yards. He's been sacked twice, but Milford with 191 yards of offense. Gage Griffiths has 1 rushing yard, and everything else has gone through Barnes. As for South Summit, 51 passing, 52 rushing yards, a total of 103. And for Milford, that 191 of offense in the first half, not particularly impressive. It's good. A lot of 1A teams would like to get that in a total in an entire game, or 2A teams. But for this Milford Tigers offense, they've taken advantage of South Summit mistakes. That early punt that Milford took possession at the 12, and then the fumble at the 35 with 17 seconds to go. Milford scores, and that's 2 of their touchdowns.
Yep, and with the style of football that South Summit wants to play, that's definitely not good for them. They want to control the ball, control the clock, don't turn the ball over, keep the ball out of the Tigers' hands, and that's one good thing the Tigers have been able to do is take advantage of the mistakes that they've made.
I'll give you Barnes' stat line, 10 of 18 for 158 yards, 3 touchdowns, plus 6 carries for 44 yards. He's hit, I think, 3 or 4 different receivers in Beebe, Sherwood, and Sullivan. Did Blake Barnes make a catch in that first half?
He had a catch, yep, across the middle.
So 4 different receivers, and Barnes missed on 3 or 4 of those passes that were incomplete were dropped, and maybe chalk that up to some early season jitters. But overall, this first half, an impressive, and I'm talking a lot about Barnes. Let me focus for a second on an impressive team effort. I mean, South Summit scored 42 points per game last season. They got a goose egg through the first half.
Yeah, and that give a lot of credit to the Tigers' offensive and defensive line. They've really come out and controlled this game. They've kept South Summit's running game in check. Obviously, when you're running that triple option, you're gonna break a couple big runs, and that's just the way it's designed. But for the most part, the defensive front for the Tigers has been able to shut the South Summit offense down. And their offensive line has been able to keep the guys off Barnes long enough so he can do his thing.
And he's been impressive. And you hear about guys, if you pay attention to maybe college sports and guys heading into the draft, and well, he scrambles, he uses his feet, but he keeps his eyes downfield, and that is Bryson Barnes.
Yep, he had one play right there where they scored the touchdown in the end of the second half, or the first half there. He broke a tackle, stepped up, had a lane in front of him to run, but he stepped up and made a throw and got the more yards on the pass.
A quick drive synopsis in that first half. South Summit received the opening kick. They picked up one first down and then were forced to punt, but a bad snap gave Milford the football at the 12-yard line of South Summit. The Tigers took advantage. 3 plays later, Bryson Barnes found Zach Sherwood for an 8-yard touchdown. It was 7-0 after the extra point. South Summit's next possession, again, a couple of first downs. They got to midfield and then had to punt after 9 plays, but just 18 yards. Milford received at their own 19-yard line and took just 5 plays to go the 81 yards. A big chunk of that was a 38-yard completion from Bryson Barnes to Brett Beebe. It was a beautiful pass across his body from one side of the field to the other, and then Beebe did the rest down to the 2. Barnes punched it in from there with some good blocking by the big boys up front. PAT was blocked. It was 13-0. Teams exchanged the possessions after that. A turnover on downs for South Summit at the Milford 36. Milford went 3 and out for South Summit. 3 plays and an interception for Milford. And then South Summit had a punt blocked. Milford took over at its own 35-yard line. Went 10 plays, 65 yards. Went for 2 and failed after Barnes found Beebe for a 13-yard touchdown pass. That would made it 19-0. 1 play later, the South Summit fumbled the ball. It was recovered by Carson Cox of Milford with 17 seconds to go, and Barnes took advantage of that quickly. The Milford Tiger offense did, as Bryson found Brett Beebe for 35 yards and a touchdown. And what a run by Beebe there after the catch, broke a tackle or 2, and then just beat the defense to the corner of the end zone. They converted the extra point, or did not convert the extra point. And it was at that point with 7 seconds left in the first half, 25-0. That's where we find ourselves at the half. 2A Milford leading South Summit, 3A South Summit, 25-0 here at the half in beautiful Camas, Utah. Tyler McMullen here, Ryan Steinekert, and Elin Olive. We'll take a quick break, be back with more of your halftime report right after this on mylocalradio.com.
A pass to the Evanston Recreation Center gets you so much more than a weight room. A pass also gives you access to the pool, hot tub, steam rooms, cardio room, cycling studio, shooting range, basketball court, and locker rooms with showers. Passes also let you attend drop-in fitness classes at no additional cost, including Zumba, yoga, cycling, water aerobics, and strength training classes. Live your fit life with a pass to the Evanston Recreation Center. Payment plans available. Stop in today.
At beautiful Bear Lake, skiing, snowmobiling, sailing, and swimming are just some of the fun activities offered to recreationists. The Greater Bear Lake Valley offers prime hunting and fishing areas, whether it's trout fishing in the streams or ice fishing for Cisco on the lake, hunting deer or seeking elk along the high mountain ridges. The scenic corner of Utah and Idaho offers outdoor recreation and historical interests away from crowds and high prices. Visit bearlake.org for more information.
Does your time at the dental office feel like this? Or like this? At Bear River Dental, we do everything we can to help your time at the dental office feel more like this. Call Bear River Dental today at 307-789-5608 to have a dental experience like this. That's Bear River Dental at 307-789-5608. We'll treat you well.
There's an easy way to get a 10-day free pass to Flex Fitness. Log on to the Evanston Sports pages at mylocalradio.com and click on the Flex Fitness logo. This is Mike Gatewood, co-owner of Flex Fitness in Evanston. When you click on the Flex Fitness logo displayed on the Evanston Sports pages at mylocalradio.com, we'll give you a 10-day free pass to work out here at Flex Fitness. Log on right now and get your 10-day free pass to Flex Fitness. Click on Flex Fitness on the Evanston Sports pages at mylocalradio.com and come check us out.
Welcome back to South Summit High School, where the Milford Tigers lead the Wildcats 25-0. Here is Ryan Steinekert and Tyler McMullen.
A beautiful night in Camas. It was 78 degrees at kickoff. Current temperature cooling off a little bit, but there's just something. There's something about temperatures cooling off at 8, 9 o'clock. The lights coming on. And here in South Summit, in Camas, we got the mountains, the trees, the field. Tyler, can you beat this?
Nope.
You
nope.
can't.
This is perfect football weather. It's good to start to see some cooling down, and Friday night lights, got the lights going. Kids playing ball on the gridiron.
Milford certainly playing ball in that first half, a 25-0 lead, and I don't know if I'm sure there are little things they can improve defensively, but when you hold a team that won 4 of the last 2A state championships, 4 of the last 6 2A state championships, you hold that team to 0 in the first half. You got to be feeling good about what you did defensively. But what can Milford do better here in the second half, Tyler?
Offensively, they can do a better job protecting Barnes. They can, sure up the catch balls. I think they need to get some kind of a running game established just for, the future. Then run some clock, try to run the ball, take some pressure off Barnes, keep the guys off of him. Defensively, like you said, they put a shutout on the board against the top offense in 2A football for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Their defensive line did a great job. They did have a couple miscues on coverages where they left some receivers open. Just shoring up them things. But a lot of the things that the Tigers can do are things that, in my opinion, that they would be shoring up in the middle of the season, and they've got things down right here to start the year off. So
South Summit still not out of the locker room. They've got a lot to work on. In 30 seconds, Tyler, couple biggest things that the Wildcats need to do in the second half.
They need to block better. They need to get their running game going. They haven't established nothing running. They've left some things open, or they've left some plays on the field from a passing standpoint, but they need to get their running game going. Their line needs to step up and move them big guys from Milford.
Second half coming up in a moment. It's 25-0. The Milford Tigers leading the South Summit Wildcats, and we'll be back with third quarter action on mylocalradio.com.
No matter what you need to have printed, Westar Printing is the place you want to have it done. Calendars, letterhead, envelopes, brochures, books, posters, vinyl banners, business forms, announcements, wedding invitations, and business cards are just a few examples. You can also have your favorite family photos printed on canvas or placed into a personalized family photo calendar. You will want to do business with Westar Printing. Stop in today. Westar Printing, 243 7th Street in Evanston.
The best place to stay when you're in Casper, Wyoming is the Come On In Hotel and Suites. This beautiful log hotel offers 5 hot tubs, 1 pool, a fitness center, and fabulous indoor atrium. Offering jacuzzi and fireplace suites, the guest rooms are comfortable and relaxing. Plus, every stay includes a delicious extended continental breakfast. Whenever you're in Casper, stay at the best place. Come On In Hotel and Suites. Come on in today. Come On In Hotel and Suites, Casper. We take your fun very seriously. That's why we put so much emphasis on training and experience with our mechanics at Cash Honda Yamaha. Whether you're getting it ready for an upcoming season, putting it away for the winter, having routine maintenance, or have a mechanical problem, we want to make sure that when you're ready to have fun with it, it's ready for you. Don't trust your fun to just anyone. Make sure you bring all your service work to Cash Honda Yamaha in Cache Valley.
Welcome back to South Summit High School in Camas, Utah. We are ready to kick off the second half. Here is Ryan Steinecker and Tyler McMullen.
Thanks, Elon. We've talked about South Summit and their run of the last 6 years. The Wildcats in the 70s and 80s, fantastic. Titles in 77, 78, 84, 88. And then the last 6 years, they've been to the championship game and won 4 of those. So South Summit is at the peak. They're on a plateau. They've been up top for the last 6 years, and we'll see if that continues with Coach John Snyder and moving up to 3A. The Milford Tigers, if you go back 6 years, 2013, they went 5-5, but 0-3. At that time, they were in the 1A North and got annihilated by Kanab in the first round of the playoffs. The next year, under first year, Thane Marshall took over, 1 less win. Or no, that was right before Marshall took over. They went 4-6, 1-2, a little better in the quarterfinals, but still lost. And then Marshall takes over. They go 5-5, 7-4, and make it to the semifinals. Then in 2017, 11-1 championship. Last year, 12-0 championship. And you look at in 2012-13, this Tigers team had 20, maybe fewer guys on the team. And now you look at that club. That's like every boy at the school.
Yep. I think there's 80 boys in Milford High School, and I think he's got anywhere from 42 to 50 on his football team right now. So he's getting a majority of them to come out.
So Coach Marshall doing a great job. As we mentioned, Coach Thane Marshall back in 1983 had 2,497 yards. I think that still stands as about third or fourth all time. And
from what I've seen, it was second.
Second all time.
He was behind another running back from Beaver, Kelly Smith, who was first. That was a couple 2 years before him, I think.
Okay. And and then he played football at Southern Utah University. His son on the coaching staff, Wes Marshall, also played at SUU. Quarterback there, right, Tyler?
Yes. Yeah, he started quarterback for the SUU football team and then went on to play some semi-pro football down in Cedar and St. George also.
25-0 here at the half. They added a couple of minutes to the clock as we come out of the locker room. And you talked about South Summit needing to establish a running game. At this point, from a coaching standpoint, Tyler, if you're South Summit, are you thinking, okay, we got to come back and win this game, or is it more of we've got to get back to just executing, and if we get back into it and win it, great. If not, we've got to get better right now.
Yeah, at this point right now, their style of offense down 25 points. I mean, that's going to most likely be what they score all season in a full game. You know what I mean? That's just the style of offense it is. I've seen it throughout the years. You look at all them dominant Duchesne teams running the football. I mean, they were only scoring 25, 30 points a game. So if I'm the head coach of South Summit right now, I'm working on building my team, looking to do the things that we need to do to get better. If you happen to get back in this game, great, but you want to see some good team improvements.
You mentioned, Tyler, earlier in the first half that you were seeing Crystal run out of the pocket and throw a little bit more. Do you think that's something that they should revisit in the future?
I think that's something that they should give a shot at and look. He looked really comfortable getting outside that pocket and finding his open receivers. And you know, the big thing is about the Tigers' defense is them guys on the front line.
Played some quarterback, but most of his season was as a receiver. So he's an athletic guy. He's comfortable knowing where receivers are going to be because he was one of those guys last year moving when Cale Atkinson was flushed out of the pocket.
And it brings another dimension, too. It also gives him an option to run out there in the open field, which could be.
6 carries for 39 yards total. So, but we'll see first. Milford will receive the kickoff to start this second half, and the Tigers will attack left to right. That's north to south here at South Summit High School on mylocalradio.com. We welcome you tuned in, and it's Milford leading 25-0. I'm going to just see this Perry's Power Guide. So far, I got to just crumble this up and throw it away. Perry had South Summit winning this game by almost 13 points. Low line drive kickoff. Bobbled, picked up at about the 13. Beebe runs right, finds a lane to the 30, and he's wrapped up. Finally, the whistle comes. He must have not gotten a knee down out to the 35.
Good return for Beebe out to give the Tigers great starting field position to start here in the second half. Ryan, on that Perry's Power Guide, you know that from what I understand about that, it's more like what the RPI system is going to be this year instead of a point spread system. So it's curious to see how that matches up with what the RPI system does here in football this year.
That will be interesting to see how that goes. The new RPI, you've got, I think, is it 40% your win-loss percentage, 40% your opponent's win-loss percentage, and then 20% opponent's win-loss. Give to Griffiths up the middle, across the 35, across the 40. A flag flies late as he's brought down at the 42, a gain of 7. And, yeah, you're right about the Perry's Power Guide. It's a kind of a power ranking, and
Yep. That was the first play out of the second half for the Tigers, and they line up to run the football, and that's what I want to see them do right here, up 25-0. They get a flag called on them, but it was a good run by Griffiths.
So a hold is the call. Griffiths last year, 89 carries, 559 yards. He and Beebe combined for almost 1,200 rushing yards and about 6.5 to 7 yards per carry. Beebe had, that was just his second, or for Griffiths, that was just his second carry of the day, but it's negated with a 10-yard penalty. Back to the 25-yard line, 1st and 20 for the Milford offense, leading 25-0. 30 seconds gone by in the third quarter. Stacked 2 receivers on the left side with 1 wide left and then 1 out to the right, this near sideline. Barnes steps back into the shotgun spot. Takes the snap, back to throw, fires it out, caught, quick
Beebe
move.
makes the guy miss.
Beebe to the 35, back to the original line of scrimmage.
Pass out to number 22
He's shifty.
looks
Got the
like.
speed, he's got the shiftiness too.
Great play by Beebe, bringing up a catch for Barnes. Gain of 10 on the
Good job
play.
corralling him in and only giving a gain of 5.
Beebe's 7th reception for a buck 27 with 2 touchdowns. Barnes now 11 of 19 for 168 with 3 touchdowns and an interception. 2nd and 10. Again from the shotgun, Barnes reaches out, takes the snap, fakes the handoff, and he's brought down back at the 30. A lot of pressure in the backfield.
South Summit got some penetration right there on Barnes. Tackle made by number 59, Bryce Clegg for the Wildcats.
Clegg, a junior, defensive tackle, brings up a 3rd down and 15. Time running down. Just got underway in the third quarter. Barnes, a low snap, pulls it in, spins away from pressure, but more comes from that side as well, and he's brought down back at the 20.
And that's Bryce Clegg again with the pressure for the Wildcats. Knocked Barnes off his spot, and the Tigers will be back, cleared to their own 20-yard line for a 4th down.
The Wildcats had 2 sacks in the entire first half, 2 sacks on the first 3 plays of the second half. And Beebe drops back to punt it away on a 4th and 25. Yeah, they would need the 45 to move the chains. They're back at their own 20. A short hop, Beebe gets away a pretty good punt.
Yeah, fielded it just like the catcher that he is.
It's out at the 47. About a 35-yard punt. Not bad off that low snap. But South Summit with good field position at its own 47-yard line.
South Summit got the first goal coming out of the second half. They got to stop. If they can get in the end zone right here, they have a hope of getting back in this game.
If you're Coach Snyder, what did you just say to the guys in the halftime locker room?
Don't worry about the scoreboard. Come out and play our game, and let's see what happens. I mean, that's all they can do at this point.
Crystal brings his team up to the line of scrimmage, directing traffic. Crystal, in a senior, his first year as the starting quarterback. He started 1 game last year at Beaver. Takes the snap, pitches left side, and around the corner, Cam Sargent breaks a tackle. Another at the 40, fumbles the football out of bounds. Kasich Hardy had it, but I think he was out.
A good play call by South Summit there. They have not had any success up the middle on the Tigers defense. Coming out of the first half, first play, running the rocket sweep off the left side, pick up 15, 20 yards. Now they got some confidence in their offense. Let's see if they can hold it up.
17 yards and a 1st down. And I noticed on that, it seemed like Sargent was further beyond, further out toward the outside when he got that pitch. And maybe that was a bit of a timing adjustment from Coach Snyder to get Sargent further out there before.
Yeah, when you catch that rocket pitch, you want to be outside of the defensive end so you can break the containment that the defense is trying to keep on you.
They had run that twice for a loss of 2 yards combined, but that time a gain of 17. Long time to get out of the huddle and a delay of game. And that's the kind of penalty you're not surprised to see in a first game.
No, that is very big, but it's a crucial penalty to South Summit because it kills what momentum they just created on that first play.
Also sets up a 1st down and 15. It's 5 yards tougher to move the chains. I think the South Summit team has the athletes and the speed to get some big plays. The question is, can they get the blocking they need to spring guys and then make somebody miss?
You know, one thing about the triple option offense too is you can see that South Summit don't got a lot of big guys on that front line. They got a lot of quick guys, and that's the key, is being able to beat the defensive guy to the spot that you need to go.
Sargent in motion, get to dart the other way. Inside the 40, pushing his way near the 35. And you get that jet sweep to work, and then you fake it and go the other way on a quick counter.
Yep, that's a great play design off the rocket sweep. Number 1 was the ball carrier for South Summit, D'Artagnan Sanchez. Put his head down and picked up a few extra yards after he was wrapped up by the Tigers.
Sanchez, 4 carries, he's up to 0 yards. His first 3 went for 1, -2, and -4. That gain of 5 puts him at 0. Second down and 10 for the South Summit offense. At the Milford 36. Wing T with Trayton Sargent in the backfield, man in motion. Gets the handoff, and Cam picks his way forward inside the 35, near the 30. And that's exactly the type of the thing they want. 4 or 5 yards.
Yep, to keep the drive going, you bet. Kaiden Peters on the stop for the Tigers there.
I remember my middle school coach, we ran the same, it wasn't a wing T option, it was a triple, like I formation type option, veer, but he always said, if we can get 2.5 yards on first, 2.5 on second, 2.5 on third, 2.5 on fourth, we move the chains.
You bet, and that's the mentality that a run the football coach has.
Get behind these boys.
A third down and short, 3rd and 4 for South Summit. With a wide out left side, man in motion. And a quick give to big Trayton Sargent inside the 30, but he's wrapped up and brought down short of the first down.
Russell Walker and Blake Barnes on the tackle for the Tigers. Gain of 2. Not a big hole there. South Summit running back needs to put his foot in the ground and get upfield. Looked like he was trying to sidestep some guys. Big 210-pound running back. Put his head down and run over somebody.
4th and 2. South Summit will go for it here. Nothing to lose. Down 25-0 on the MyLocalRadio.com scoreboard. 7.5 left in the 3rd quarter. Crystal under center. Brings Cam Sargent in motion. Crystal keeps it himself, dives forward, and is very close.
Looks like he's near the 25-yard line, and the first down marker's on the 26, so that's going to give him a first down.
Boy, they put the nose of the football inside the 26, and that's enough to move the chains. So Crystal with a 2-yard gain. He's at 41 yards on 7 carries. Most of those, well, not most, but a good chunk of those came on his first carry of the game, 18 yards on a QB scramble. Milford jumped out to a 13-0 lead in the first quarter. They added to that 2 scores in the final 2.5 minutes of the 4th quarter. Or the 2nd quarter, rather. And Milford leads 25-0. South Summit give up the middle. And there's the put your shoulder down and roll.
Yeah, they brought in a number 4 right there, Marshall Cox. And that's what you want to see out of your fullback. Put your head down, run some guys over, pack some guys along the way.
And Cox giving up about 35 or 40 pounds to what Trayton Sargent has, but Cox does what the fullback needs to do. Down to the 19-yard line, a 7-yard gain. And boy, if you can get a dive from your fullback right up the middle for 7 yards on first down in the option offense, you're feeling good. So Sargent stays, or rather Marshall Cox stays in there as the fullback. Crystal. Final adjustments before the snap, gives again to Cox, first down and inside the 15. He'll move the chains.
Tackle made by number 1, Kasich Hardy, and number 60, Carson Cox for the Tigers right there.
That's 5 more yards right up the gut. If you're Coach Snyder, do you just keep going to that, I guess, if it's open? Of course, you have the option, so Crystal can make the read and pull it or give it. Gives at that time no gain for, is that Trayton Sargent back in there?
No, it's
Cox again?
Marshall Cox, tackled by MJ Mafulu. Kaiden Peters and Kasich Hardy in on the play also for the Tigers.
Mafulu is his first name and last name, is that right?
Yeah, MJ Mafulu. One of the things, too, you talked about what they were going to do right there, and one of the golden rules that I always lived by when I was calling the triple option offense is never run the same play 3 times in a row. And the Tigers did get right there. They stopped it on the 3rd time. If the quarterback would have kept right there, he had a touchdown.
Sargent pitches left side, or Crystal pitches left side to Sargent, and he's inside the 10, near a first down, a couple yards short at the 7.
Blake Barnes on the tackle there for the Tigers. And a pitch to the short side of the field. Good gain by the Wildcats.
They'll spot it right at the 7, and South Summit needs the 5 to move the chains.
Bring the play in.
This is the type of drive. This is a pretty good example of what Coach Snyder wants to do. Knock on wood, they want to punch it in, obviously, but this is the type of drive he wants to see.
You bet. They've knocked off almost 4 minutes here in the second half.
A late pitch. Dart tries to spin, can't get away. No, that's Cam Sargent who couldn't get away.
Kasich Hardy and MJ Mafulu on the tackle for the Tigers. And Russell Walker put the hit on the quarterback to make him pitch the ball to the wingback.
So
one of the things that South Summit is doing is limiting themselves. They're running these plays to the short side of the field down here at the goal line, and they've got wide open space on the other side. So I'd like to see him run that speed play to the wide side of the field to give your guy a chance to outrun somebody.
4th down and 4. South Summit inside the Milford 10. There goes D'Artagnan Sanchez in motion. Crystal back looking to throw, flushed right. Throws, it's low. Was it caught?
Says no catch. Great job. Jace Crystal scrambling out there.
They're saying he was out of bounds before he caught the football on the far sideline over there. Incomplete pass. The Tigers will take over 1st and 10 from their own 8-yard line.
So short of actually scoring any points, that was an ideal drive for Coach John Snyder, but they come up empty.
By the Wildcats, just barely came up short.
Gives the ball to Milford deep in their own territory from their own 8-yard line. 3:27 left in the third quarter. Milford went 3 and out on its first possession of this second half. Trips to the right side in a bunch. Barnes takes the snap, quick throw out to the left on his knees, making the catch at the 15 is little bro Blake Barnes. But a flag is down.
We got an injured player.
And a South Summit Wildcat down as well. We'll take an injury timeout. Milford leading 25-0, 3:19 left in the third on mylocalradio.com.
We know that when you think of Plains Tire in Evanston, you always think
the Tire Professionals.
Quality customer service. They're friendly with great prices.
I really like Plains Tire in Evanston.
But did you also know that the team at Plains Tire offers oil changes, windshield wiper checks, and free alignment checks? That's right, free alignment checks. We don't want you to quit thinking all those great things when you hear Plains Tire. We just want you to add to the list. Plains Tire, the tire professionals. Stop in today, 157 Bear River Drive.
Early Oregon-bound immigrants traveled through the Bear Lake Valley. U.S. Highway 30 basically follows the Oregon Trail. Many wagon trains stopped at Thomas L. Pegleg Smith Trading Post, located near Dingle, Idaho, for supplies. One traveler wrote of camping along Cotton Line Bear River, watching grass as tall as a man wave in the wind. Today, you don't have to ride in a wagon to visit Bear Lake Valley, but the rich history is still here to enjoy. Visit bearlake.org for more information.
Welcome back to South Summit High School. We're here late in the third quarter. The Tigers of Milford High School lead 25-0. Here is Ryan Steinecker and Tyler McMullen.
An illegal chop block, half the distance to the goal. Milford a 1st and 14 at their own 4. They got the ball inside their own 20 early in the first, late in the first quarter. Started their own 19. They went 5 plays, 81 yards. 2 in the backfield behind Barnes under center. Fakes a handoff, rolls left, and it just misfires looking for
BB.
Is that BB? This glare on the window is giving me a
BB in the flat.
So Barnes and BB had some room to run if the throw's right on target, but incomplete.
Barnes holding his calf right there. Looks like he's got some cramping going on in his calf muscle.
So a 2nd down and 14. Milford, boy, jumped out to a 13-0 lead in the first quarter and hasn't looked back. They scored twice more in the final seconds of the first half, including recovering a fumble at the 35 and one play drive. Barnes to Beebe. Lofted out left side, and dangerous throw. Sherwood went up high, tried to get it, and couldn't quite catch it.
Hey, Tyler, so are we in a situation where you think they would pull Barnes and bring in Bo Hardy?
I don't know if they're in that situation yet. Early in the ball game, one of the things that Coach Marshall likes to let Bryson play and let him get as many reps as possible. If we get into games like this, he likes to use this opportunity as more practice time and things like that. So I would say no, they probably wouldn't put him in until the last 3 minutes or so of the fourth quarter. That's just what I've seen from him in the past.
Barnes under center, then audibles and drops back into a short shotgun. Back, he's hit and dropped. Safety. South Summit's on the board. You hear that crowd erupt, the Wildcat faithful.
Dylan Crawford on the safety for South Summit. He come in untouched and got to Barnes in the end zone to give South Summit their first points of the ball game.
And South Summit will get the football.
Brought the house, blitzed all 3 linebackers plus their defensive front, and got to Barnes before he could even get one look out of the backfield.
I'm playing with the lights a little bit, guys. Through the glare, I'm having a hard time seeing numbers. Is that all right to the lights off, everybody?
Good with me.
We got a few folks up here. Cody over there running the film for the Milford Tigers. Nevaeh running our camera. Elin producing. Tyler, the expert Milford Tiger football man. Milford, 25-0. So with 2:50 left in the third quarter, South Summit gets on the board. Their last possession was a 10-play, 45-yard drive that ended in a turnover on downs.
But they got their 4 yards per carry they were looking at right there, too. And that's a good sign for Coach Snyder coming out of the locker room. They did what they wanted to do there. Now they're getting the ball back here after the safety. See if they can put another drive together.
Fielded at the 25 and running across the field left, finding a seam up to the 50. And Jackson Stowe gets a cheer from the crowd, but he ran about 25 yards laterally.
There's nothing worse from a kickoff standpoint when you got a return left called and the kick's on the right side of the field. Quade Thompson on the tackle for the Tigers on the kickoff. South Summit will take
a bunch tonight. They've hurried him, they've forced him out of the pocket and sacked him 5 times. South Summit at midfield. Their last possession started at their own 47, 3 yards back from where they are now. Crystal sends a man in motion and keeps it himself. Finds a lane up the middle. He's wrapped up, stopped his progress, and still no whistle. It looks like guys might be fighting for possession of the football at the
Tigers
43.
took the football away from him right there. Gage Griffiths stepped in and took it from the quarterback as he was running the ball.
And you're hearing some Wildcat fans shout boo, 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 but you could see before Crystal's progress was stopped, Griffiths was trying to rip that ball out and may have had
hands on the football.
Yeah.
You bet he did.
So that accounts for a second fumble of the game.
The umpire right in the middle of the field was watching it like a hawk, too. He knew what was going on. He called it almost immediately when they come up out of the pile.
2:28 left in the third. Milford takes over. 1st and 10, their own 43. Barnes hands off. Griffiths left side. Big hole, 10 yards, a little bit more to the 45 of South Summit.
Good block by Sherwood and Beebe off that left side. They really helped the line seal the edge. Griffiths got underneath the tackle, got upfield. Good game.
You hear about guys like, and this is just my reference because I'm old, Jerry Rice, who was a great downfield blocker as a receiver, and that's what you had from Sherwood and Beebe right there.
You bet. They were right on top of it, and Griffiths made a great cut off his tackle to get upfield and pick up them yards in a hurry.
Griffiths with his second carry of the day. He's at 13 yards. Barnes doesn't give to Griffiths. Bounces out around the outside, and there's again Sherwood with a big block. Barnes to the 40, steps out of bounds safely after about a gain of 8.
Keeps on the replay.
Little read option play there with
Wildcats
Barnes
bringing
and
pressure.
Griffiths. Barnes was looking to cut it up the middle. The hole filled up. He got outside, and his receivers were there helping him with blocks.
7 yards on the carry, puts Barnes at 7 carries, 51 yards in the ball game. Add that to his 168 passing yards and 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 touchdown on the ground. Out to the right hash for a second and short. Trips left, 1 man right. Griffiths up to the right hip of Barnes. Pulls it, throws it, he's hit, ball's on the turf, and the pressure again gets to the Tigers.
For an incomplete pass.
Waiting for the call here.
Wildcats come up with
Looked
it.
like a fumble
We'll
to me.
sort
It didn't
it
look
out.
like Barnes was in throwing action. Let's see what the officials call.
They spot it back at the 44,
Good job, defense.
which would indicate a fumble, or maybe that's where he was hit and they're saying incompletion.
I'm not sure what was going on there. Maybe it was a fumble and the Tigers recovered it. I didn't see who come up with the football at the end of the play.
It's a loss of 6 yards one way or the other, and sets up a 3rd and 9 for the Tigers offense. And that's, again, pressure from South Summit's defense getting to the Tigers. They've not been nearly as good on the offensive line in this second half, and maybe that's a defensive adjustment from the Wildcats. Barnes back to throw, steps forward, looking to run, spins, and is brought down well short of the first down line to gain.
Good coverage by South Summit in the secondary. Just a couple of great combination things for the Wildcats. They're dropping into good coverage, and they're getting pressure on Barnes.
And he's a bit slow to get up, still on his backside, an injury timeout. Milford coaches will make their way out onto the field. Leland, where are we on ads? Do we need to get one in? 56.9 seconds left in this third quarter. Sorry for our listeners, just doing a little producing on the fly here. We've played the Bear Lake Convention and Visitors Bureau. Let me take this moment then to mention a few of our other sponsors. Val Brinkerhoff Race Training Stables. They do race horse training of any breed, starting and breaking, eliminating bad habits. They do sales prep as well, seeking the maximum potential of every horse. That's Val Brinkerhoff Race Training Stables. And by Mike's Tire and Oil at 140 South Main in Milford. They are your local tire dealer and repair shop. They take care of your oil, lube, and filter service and automotive repairs as well. That's Mike's Tire and Oil at 140 South Main in Milford. Also by Flying M Racing Stables, and much like Val Brinkerhoff, they'll take care of the racehorse training, and that's Flying M Racing Stables. Our broadcast tonight is also brought to you in part by First Bank of Evanston, by the Littlest Wood Shop in Evanston. Check them out at thelittlestwoodshop.com, and by Arrowhead Dental. Visit arrowheaddentalY.com, a better dental experience. Barnes helped up and off and then walks most of the way with a bit of a limp off to the sidelines.
Looks like he's having problems with that calf cramping up. They did some work on the field. Looked like he's going to go over there to the sideline and get a little bit more treatment on it.
To the 43-yard line is where he got. That was a 1-yard gain on the quarterback scramble. And Milford facing a 4th down and 7. Lines up to punt. One man back deep to receive at the 5-yard line. I believe it's been Jackson Stowe returning punts today. Beebe waiting for the whistle, or for the snap rather, a high snap. He goes up and gets it, punts it away. He ends up on the turf. No flag as the fair catch made at the 10. Not a fair catch. An immediate hit by Heston Sullivan, and no return at the 10-yard line.
Beebe took a hit in the backfield after he kicked that ball. The Tigers coaches are asking the white hat what was going on there.
South Summit takes over. Third quarter, 24 seconds left. Next drive, if it's successful for them, might take up most of the remaining time on the clock. 25-2, Milford leads.
Barnes back in the game for the Tigers at free safety.
A drink of water, a little muscle rub, and he's back in there. Give up the middle and a gain out to the 14. Barnes in on the tackle. And I believe that was Marshall Cox on the carry. Off to the right side, out to the 15, a short gain.
Wildcats with a little no huddle.
And that takes us to the end of the third quarter with Milford leading 25-2. South Summit's offense has consisted of a defensive safety. Milford leads. We'll be back with the fourth and final quarter on mylocalradio.com. As one of the region's most visited websites, mylocalradio.com is here to serve you. Catch up on local and regional news and information. Buy, sell, or trade your good used items on the radio classifieds. Stream your favorite music all day, every day, or catch our live coverage of your high school teams in action, all on mylocalradio.com. Like us on Facebook so you never miss a giveaway, and visit mylocalradio.com today to stream it all live.
If you had a toothache, would you see a foot doctor? Or would you go to the dermatologist to have a baby? Of course not. When your vehicle needs service, take it to the best qualified mechanics. At Auto Farm Castle Rock Chevrolet, our technicians are GM certified service experts. They're trained to know every inch of your vehicle. Don't trust your vehicle to just anyone. Have all your service done at Auto Farm Castle Rock Chevrolet, 624 Front Street, Evanston. We're a different kind of dealer.
We're 3/4 of a way through this one. The score is 25-2. Milford, and here is Ryan Steinecker and Tyler McMullen.
Thanks, Elon. The Milford Tigers scored the first 13, and then both teams then went on a bit of a scoring drought before scoring 2 more touchdowns right near the end of the first half. South Summit's defense recorded a safety midway through the third quarter, and that's where we stand, 25-2. Milford on top, give up the gut on a 3rd and 5.
Brings up 4th down.
And is it Cox going straight ahead for a couple?
I can't tell who's running the ball for South Summit right there. Yeah, number 4, Marshall Cox. Tackle was made by number 60, Carson Cox, for the Tigers.
Marshall Cox had a couple of big carries right up the gut, 7 and 5, but most of his runs have been 2, 3, maybe 4 yards. A 4th and 3 for South Summit. They line up to punt it away from their own 17-yard line.
Beebe back for the Tigers to receive.
A low, wobbly punt off the side of the foot. Takes a South Summit bounce along the sideline and stays in for an extra 5 yards. Xander Metcalf gets off what ended up a pretty good punt to the Milford 43.
Tigers ball. We'll see if Barnes comes out for the 4th quarter.
PA man just said, we'll see if Barnes comes out for the 4th quarter. I wonder what his thought process is with that comment. Milford from its own 43-yard line with 11:16 left in the 4th. Barnes has missed on his last 2 attempts, 11 of 21, 168 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air with 1 interception. Also has a rushing touchdown. Takes the snap, gives to Griffiths around the right side. South Summit stretches it out, and Griffiths dives ahead a small window for 3 yards, maybe 2.
Tackle made by number 44 for South Summit. Caleb, I'm not even going to attempt to say that last name.
Beauticofer. I had to ask Coach Snyder specifically that one like 4 times. Say that again. Say that again. Beauticofer. Griffiths picks up 3. A 2nd and 7. He's behind Barnes in the pistol, shotgun pistol formation. Beebe in motion. And Barnes around the left side. Griffiths able to pick up a few to the 50.
Beebe on the
carry.
carry.
That was Beebe, wasn't it? Thank you.
And from what I understand, Ryan, if that is a pitch forward behind the line of scrimmage, that goes towards Barnes' passing
Toward
yards
the passing.
instead of Beebe's rushing.
You're right about that. So Beebe had 131 receiving yards. Barnes 12 of 22 for 172 today. 3rd down and 3. Barnes back, steps forward immediately to run, breaks a tackle. He's got some open space to run, bounces outside, 40 to the 35, and ducks out of bounds at about the 33. Big run and a first down. And Barnes, I don't know what it is. He doesn't look especially fast. I know he's fast. You said he's a state champion.
State champion, yeah. I can't remember if it was the 200 meter or the 400 meter, but them little bit bigger distance races.
But you see him going up the middle, and he reads defenses so well and reads his blockers so well that because he read that and bounced the outside, he picked up an extra 10 yards.
Yeah, he had Sherwood and Sullivan on the edge out there making some good blocks for him at the receiver position. Got to the outside of him and picked up a big gain.
18 yards gives to Griffiths or Beebe to the 30.
Griffiths up the middle, met by number 57 for South Summit, Bobby Freeman.
And Griffiths a little slow to get up. Do you wonder, Tyler, and you're experiencing coaching, are guys maybe a little dehydrated, getting some cramping? It's your first game. I don't know.
Yep. It's a typical tell of teams. The first game of the season, you'll see this happen to them. Playing hard, going hard. Practice will never be the same as a game, no matter what you do. And they're out there going harder than they've ever gone and getting a little bit of a cramps going on.
Barnes fakes a pitch, fakes the handoff, throws right sideline incomplete. Too tall.
Can't quite see the number.
And who's that came in for Griffiths?
That would be number 1, Kasich Hardy. Looks like Griffiths is coming back in for the next play.
3rd down and 8 upcoming at the 30-yard line of South Summit. Milford leads 25-2. 9:12 left in this opening game of the season. South Summit stays at home next week. They'll host cross-county rival North Summit next Friday before traveling down to your neck of the woods and playing at Beaver. Barnes back to throw deep over the middle. He's got Beebe in and out of his hands, incomplete.
Barnes couldn't have put that pass any better over the middle of the field. Right in front of the deep defender, over top of the front defender for South Summit, and in and out of Beebe's hands. I not want to make an excuse for Beebe. That is one of the hardest passes to catch in football, that over the shoulder as he was running at an angle.
Oh, yeah, running at full speed. And you could see, that pass was a laser for 35 yards. Maybe not quite that far, 30 yards, but there's a lot of power on that throw. Barnes and the Tigers to go for it on 4th and 8. Bryson steps forward, and he's got room. He'll slide down to the 20 for a first down and move the chains.
First down.
And Coach Marshall's got to be thinking, thanks for sliding, Bryson. Yeah. We need to see that in that kind of situation.
Yeah, don't put your head down and run over guys right here in this part of the ball game.
They spot it right at the 15. So just like that, or right at the 20 rather, a 10-yard gain for Barnes. He's at 80 rushing yards on 10 carries and picks up the first down on a 4th and 8. 2 in the backfield, offset I. The snap, give to Griffiths up the middle, and he lowers the head and pushes forward. Gage, not a particularly big guy, 5'7", 135, but he recognizes I'm going to get a little bit more if I just lower those pads.
Yep, get behind them pads, lower your shoulder, and use all the leverage that you can get to help yourself out.
A 4-yard gain. Griffiths was 5 carries for 22 yards. That's not the clip he was at last year at 6.5 yards per carry, but 4.5 yards per carry, not too bad so far tonight for Gage. He's the deep man behind Barnes in a 2nd and 6. Snap, quick fake handoff, throw out to the right flat, and an immediate tackle.
Beebe
again.
On the reception. Them South Summit numbers are hard to see from here. I can't see who made the tackle on that play for the Wildcats.
Just a 3-yard gain on that pass and catch. Barnes 13 of 25 for $175. Third down and short after that short gain. Beebe in motion. Barnes takes the snap. He has Beebe on the out. Throws over the middle. He's got Sherwood caught. Makes a man miss. Dives into the end zone. Touchdown. Barnes to Sherwood. And Bryson's 4th passing touchdown of the night.
Sherwood using that long frame to catch the ball from Barnes and stretch out across the end zone. He was stood up at about in between the 1 and the 2 yard line and made a diving stretch to get in the end zone for the Tigers.
So, Elon, you've got something for us there on Barnes' 4th passing touchdown of the night.
Yeah, with that passing touchdown, that now puts Bryce Barnes alone, number 5 for most career passing touchdowns in the history of Utah high school football.
The extra point is good.
Dylan Ferguson on the kick for the Tigers.
32-2, Milford leads at South Summit. 7:03 left in the 4th. We'll take a quick break and be back on mylocalradio.com.
My name is Dr. Micah Pullins. I'm an orthopedic surgeon at Evanston Regional Hospital. I perform total hip, total knee, and total shoulder replacement. The huge majority of patients of mine that have undergone total joint replacement have been dealing with pain and disability for many years. After joint replacement and recovery, patients are back to doing the activities that they want to do.
And here in the 4th quarter, it is 32-2. Milford Tigers on top. We're going to kick it over to Ryan Steinecker and Tyler McMullen with the call.
10 plays, 57 yards. A non-typical type drive for the Milford Tigers as they ate up a little better than 4 minutes off the clock. 4 minutes, 13 seconds to be exact. And Milford leads big, 32-2. Aylin, Bryson Barnes into the top 5 all time in touchdowns. Is it passing touchdowns in Utah high school?
Career passing touchdowns. That is his 101st, and he will now be in the top 5. And, I mean, it's the first game of the season. Who knows what he'll get by the end of it.
Nice return out to the 30 for South Summit. The Wildcats will have decent field position. Their offense got close in this second half. They got down to the 8-yard line before turning it over on downs. Other than that, offensively, South Summit has stalled today.
Spencer Slade and Calvin Holman on the tackle for the Tigers on the kickoff.
Jace Crystal, just 3 of 12 through the air, 59 yards passing. Has 8 carries, 42 yards. He's the leading rusher. Second is Cam Sargent, 8 carries, 39 yards. Crystal back looking to throw. Pressure, throws, and flings it out where nobody can get it. Incomplete.
Hey, Ryan, really quick note. With that, his 4 touchdowns tonight, Bryson Barnes now at 134 touchdowns responsible for in his career. That puts him number 2 all time.
Wow. That's impressive. That type of kid, Tyler, I mean, that makes a coach look pretty good, right?
Yeah, you don't have to do a whole lot when he's on the field. He's a great student of the game. He's worked for everything that he's got. He's a hard worker, smart, very athletic. Multiple sport athlete. He's just a solid kid all the way around.
Crystal under center for a 2nd and 10. South Summit from its own 31-yard line, and maybe some miscommunication. A flag flies. Crystal keeps it to the 35. I understand there's some time. There's a period in the summer of a moratorium where coaches cannot have contact with players. And my understanding is that during that time, Bryson was texting teammates and saying, hey, guys, coaches can't, but I can.
Yeah.
We're practicing.
Yeah, he was out on the football field with his wide receivers by himself all summer, working on routes, timing things up. The luxury that he's got a little brother that's a sophomore, that can get told what to do all the time, so he has to go to the football field every day. And you seen them guys out there putting in a lot of work. They were doing 6:30 in the morning. They were doing late at night, just, all on their own.
An illegal shift takes the ball back to the 26-yard line. Illegal shift against South Summit.
In on defense for the Tigers, replacing Barnes is number 25, James Winch.
2nd down and 15 for South Summit. Crystal back, looking to throw, flush right. A lot of pressure in his face. He heaves it down and caught on the sideline. Was he inbounds? Cam Sargent makes the catch at the 39, just short of the first down, a couple yards.
Ike Keller with the pressure for the Tigers on the South Summit quarterback, rolling to his right, put his foot in the ground and made a great throw to the sideline for a big gain for the Wildcats.
Just 4 completions on 14 attempts for Jace Crystal, and 2 of those have been to Cam Sargent for 43 of Crystal's 72 yards passing. Wind picking up a little bit coming out of the south. It's funny, well, I guess it's that wall of trees, the American flag down on the south end zone, not moving a bit. But these flags, the South Summit flags to our right at the top of the bleachers, whipping in the wind. Crystal takes the snap, a lot of traffic at the line, gets away and pitches it out to Dart Sanchez with nowhere to go. Dropped back behind the line.
Number 1, Kasich Hardy, and number 23, Gage Griffiths on the tackle for the Tigers.
And I said Sanchez, I think it was actually Cam Sargent as the recipient of the pitch. Got back to the line of scrimmage, so no gain. 9 carries, 39 yards tonight for Sargent. A 4th down, or is this 3rd? 4th and 2. And their own
4th and 2, yeah, that's what it looks like.
Own 39, they need the Milford 41. Crystal sends Sargent in motion, pitches it out to him on the left side. He's got room, first down, a little bit more across the 45, hit out of bounds at the 47.
Out of bounds, it stops the clock.
Kaiden Peters and James Winch on the tackle for the Tigers after Sargent picked up the first down for the Wildcats.
If you're Milford, I mean, you don't have the shutout anymore because of the safety, the 2 points. But how much pride are these guys taking in? Hey, we're going to keep them out of our end zone.
You know, as a former player for me, it was big. You know, if that's what you had on the table to have that opportunity. You know, you don't want to come out of the ball game. You want to keep that effort on the scoreboard that you put up the whole game. 1st and 10,
South Summit driving with just over 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter. And to give up the middle, Milford comes away with the football. The takes off of the end zone. Whistle comes. There was no whistle. He had the football and was walking by himself. Is that Beebe?
Griffiths stole the ball from the runner again.
And the officials will meet, discuss, and figure out an outcome here.
They never stopped the forward progress of the Wildcat runner.
And clearly, I mean, I didn't hear a whistle until after Griffiths took off for the end zone. Some first game jitters for the men in stripes, maybe a little. Just didn't get the whistle when they needed to. 5:16 left, 4th quarter. Milford scored the first 25 points, all in the first half. South Summit got a safety midway through the 3rd. Milford answered 2 possessions later with a 10-play, 57-yard drive. Bryson Barnes, 4 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing tonight. And Milford has been dominant on both sides of the football, leading 32-2. Wow, Milford football.
Looks like it's going to be Milford's ball.
That's the second time tonight we've seen Milford take the ball away while the South Summit runner had the ball in possession.
These boys and finish this thing strong.
So Milford comes out onto the field. They've got great field position at the South Summit 48. 4th quarter, 5:16 left to go. Is Coach Marshall looking to score again or hold on to the ball and run this thing out?
I think you'll see some runs right here. I kind of figure, they.
Ball is loose. Griffiths was stood up. It's on the turf. South Summit says they've got it, and the crowd is hoping for that.
Marshall Cox on the.
He might score the touchdown or get the first down, but here, and many times, the second effort ends up in a fumble.
And number 4, Marshall Cox, he's come in and done some big things for South Summit here in the second half. They put him in to take the reps at fullback in their offense. He's had some good runs. He's getting he's getting them 4 or 5 yards a carry that a triple option wing T offensive coordinator wants you to get, and they've got him back in at fullback again.
He may have earned himself a starting spot on both sides of the ball. Handoff back in the backfield, and Ike Keller says, "No, sir, you're going down."
And Ike Keller has seen that play before, as it's the buck sweep that Duchesne runs off the tackle, and he got through there, followed the pulling guards, and made a big tackle in the backfield.
And I believe it was Dart Sanchez on the carry, a loss of 5. So he's back in the red. 5 carries, -5 yards. 2nd down and 15 at midfield for South Summit, whose offense has been across midfield just a couple of times tonight. They got down to the Milford 8 before stalling and turning it over on downs earlier in this half. Cam Sargent, slow in motion. Crystal steps forward. He's got some room to run. Bounces outside and could not break a shoestring tackle by Milford's defense. A good gain for Crystal.
Number 8, Blake Barnes for the Tigers with a touchdown saving tackle.
Crystal picks up 8 to the 42. Jace's 9th carry of the game for 50 yards. You see him do some good things, and he's a guy that defenses will have to plan for, especially as South Summit gets more consistent in what they're doing and executing better.
Yeah, they've had a hard time tonight getting anything consistent going, and a lot of the big plays that they've had have come on broken plays, and Crystal's been able to use his athletic ability to make things happen.
Uses it here, gets outside the tackles, deep throw down the right sideline, looking for Cam Sargent, just overthrew him in the end zone, incomplete.
And the receiver, Sargent, he wasn't running full goal the whole time right there. He didn't think that he was going to get the ball. If he's going hard to the end zone, he catches that ball.
4th down and 7. South Summit, nothing to lose here. Will likely go for it at the Milford 42-yard line. Milford on top, 32-2. Milford, this would be a 20th win in a row, I believe. Tyler?
Yes, yep, that would be the 20th win in the row. The highest winning streak in the state this year, 1A through 6A or 2A through 6A.
They have a ways to go to catch Duchesne's 46 in a row.
Yep.
But 20, that's nothing to hang your head about. That's nothing to blink or shy away from, obviously. Crystal rolling right, looking to throw, and then tucks and runs. Got the first down and a little bit more. Out of bounds inside the 30. South Summit had a win streak going of, what did we figure? It was like 10,
12
2,
games,
3,
I think.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It would have been 10th win in a row because they lost last season early on against Park City before winning their final 9 games of the year. So their 9-game winning streak is going to come to an end. They spot Crystal out at the 31, an 11-yard gain and a first down.
Number 51, Spencer Slade, checks into the game for Ike Keller at down tackle. Spencer's a sophomore for the Tigers.
3:10 left to go. At South Summit, opening game of the season for these two teams. And 2A, what pressure up the middle. And Milford gets the sack.
Gage Griffiths and MJ Mafulu on the sack for the Tigers.
Clear back to the 37-yard line, a 6-yard loss.
You know, gentlemen, just an observation I've been making throughout the game. Even though South Summit is down big late in the fourth quarter, there has not been a single fan head for the stands. This team has great support. They'll bounce back from this.
Trips out to the left side. South Summit on a 2nd down and 16. Crystal immediately rolls left, throws out on the left, flat in and out of the hands of his intended receiver. Incomplete. And Crystal's numbers now, he's at a 25% completion percentage, 4 of 16, 72 yards. And I've mentioned it a couple of times last year in backup duty, 75% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns to 3 picks, and helped his team beat Beaver late in the season a year ago. With some growing pains here in his first year as a full-time starter, also as a senior. 3rd down and 16 for South Summit's offense. Time at 2:27 left to go, and Milford leading 32-2 on the MyLocalRadio.com scoreboard. Crystal back to throw. Good protection, steps up, tucks, calls for a block, doesn't get the block he wants, and gets back to the 31, maybe the 30.
Blake Barnes on the tackle for the Tigers. Cam Sargent was there to make the block for the Wildcats, but Barnes positioned himself that the only thing that Sargent could do was block him in the back, and Barnes got that angle and created it so he could make a tackle.
An 8-yard gain. They get 7 yards, brings up a 4th and 9. And they said they determined that Crystal went down inbound, so clock continues to run. At the 30-yard line, South Summit lined up to go for it. Milford trying to keep that South Summit offense out of the end zone for the full 48 minutes of tonight's game. Crystal rolling left, turns back to his right. He's got a man open deep in the end zone. Caught, touchdown, South Summit. Crystal, and Tyler, you've said it a couple of times, the biggest plays for the South Summit offense have come on broken plays.
Broken plays, you bet. And Crystal looks very comfortable getting outside that pocket and making throws on the run. He's done a great job for the Wildcats when he gets outside that pocket, and he's very accurate throwing the ball.
I want to say that was Braden Stevens, number 17, on the reception, but I'm unsure about that. A 30-yard touchdown pass. South Summit lined up for the extra point, would make it 32-9 if it's kicked through. It is. A strong kick straight through the uprights. 1:24 left to go. South Summit puts an offensive touchdown on the board. 32-9. We'll be right back on MyLocalRadio.com.
Is it time to stop wishing for your dream home in beautiful Bear Lake? If you're ready to make your dream a reality, Bear Lake Realty can help. With residential and land listings, including vacation properties, timeshares, cabins, condos, beachfront, lake view, and more, Bear Lake Realty has what you're looking for. And with more than 30 years of real estate experience in the area, you know you're working with the best. Visit BearLakeRealty.com and come and enjoy the Caribbean of the Rockies with us.
Late in the fourth quarter, the score is 32-9. Milford here to finish it up. Here's Ryan Steinecker and Tyler McMullen.
32-9 after South Summit. It took until just 1:24 left to go in the fourth quarter before the Wildcat offense found the end zone. They'd gotten a safety early in the second half to make it 25-2 at that point. Milford scored again, and now South Summit with the answer, offensive. And Tyler, from a South Summit Wildcat coaching, playing, confidence standpoint, how big is that score?
That's good. It's good to build on for your next game. They've done some things better in the second half that they did in the first half, and you know, as a coach coming in, that's all you can ask for is making sure you're getting better, you know, from a play-to-play basis.
I think you said that at the halftime is don't worry about the score, right? For South Summit, guys, don't worry about the score. Just let's get better. Let's work on improving. Low line drive, squib type kick. Beebe at the 20. He's got some room down the right side. He's gone to the 50. There's nobody going to catch him. Brett Beebe. That's about a 75-yard return, and Milford put some icing on the cake.
BB to the house.
Any laundry on the field?
No flags on the play. BB needed one block right there to turn that to a touchdown, and he got it. I believe it was Blake Barnes on the far side.
Coach Marshall keeps telling me that Brett Beebe has 4.40 speed, 4.4 seconds, and that is legitimate upper-level college, even NFL-type speed, and we saw it on display right there. That was quick.
Yeah. Yep, there was, once he got that little seam, he got to the open field, and everybody else was watching the back of his jersey.
Boy, and up to top speed with just a couple of steps. Milford tacks on another score to make it 38-9. Extra point attempt coming. Blake Barnes will hold.
It's Dylan Ferguson as the kicker.
Ferguson, a lefty, who's probably seen that throughout the game. Kicking doing the kickoff duties with the left foot. And some confusion, a timeout for South Summit prior to the extra point. We'll take this opportunity to thank our sponsors again, Val Brinkerhoff Race Training Stables. Seeking the maximum potential for every horse, Val Brinkerhoff Race Training Stables, and Mike's Tire and Oil in Milford. Your tire dealer and repair shop, automotive repair shop, and they'll take care of your oil, lube, and filter service as well at 140 South Main in Milford. That's Mike's Tire and Oil. And by the Flying M Racing Stables in Milford. Full-service racehorse training. That's Flying M Racing Stables. We want to thank those sponsors for making tonight's broadcast possible. And it's an interesting way this broadcast came about. Here on My Local Radio, we usually we cover the Evanston Red Devils in Wyoming, a couple other teams in Wyoming, and the Rich Rebels in northern Utah. And I ran into Coach Marshall at the basketball state tournament last March. He told me this game was happening, and I said, man, I would love to broadcast that. He goes, then let's do it.
Yeah.
And he found the sponsors, made it happen, so that's why we get to do this tonight. And, boy, what a pleasure it's been.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity. I appreciate you letting me come up and join your broadcast. I contacted you last week, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Got a fun fact for you, gentlemen. What sport is Milford known worldwide for?
Oh, yeah. You know this one, Tyler. That's an easy one for Tyler McMullen. PAT is
so.
blocked.
I don't know. I'm going to say basketball is what everybody knows.
Think a little outside the high school box. This is easy. You drive into Milford, there's a sign.
Rodeo, yeah.
The Wright family.
Professional rodeo athletes, you bet.
Ryder Wright.
I've had the opportunity to coach all them kids, Rusty, Ryder, Stetson.
Stetson is absolutely killing it on the PRCA all-around circuit right now.
Stetson is riding high right now. He had a little setback last week or 2 weeks ago, broken jaw and things like that. But, yeah, it's a great family, great bunch of boys.
Stetson was catching passes from Bison Barnes 2 or 3 years ago, wasn't he?
Yep, he was on the state championship team that won the first championship in 2017. He actually tore his ACL in the championship game.
Oh, really?
There at SUU on the turf and set out, but it cost him a little bit of his end of his high school rodeo season. But
yeah, I remember I was doing some coverage of the high school rodeo finals that year, and what he's doing now is a little bit rougher than football.
Yeah, for sure.
A little more horsepower in that arena, right?
No, he's on the bulls.
Oh, the bulls.
He's riding the bulls and the horses.
Power.
Yeah.
He could be the first rough stock cowboy to win the all-around since Ty Murray back in '98.
Yep.
High kickoff to the far sideline.
It's alive.
Did that stay in? Milford diving to the football. But South Summit, indication South Summit has it.
I'm not sure the returner for South Summit was aware that football was live. Somebody else come in and jumped on it to keep South Summit the ball with 1:12 left to go in the fourth quarter.
Overall, school about to start. When does school start in Milford? On Monday?
We started.
You started?
Wednesday. Started on Wednesday, yeah.
Let's give some grades from Professor McMullen here. Milford, let's go South Summit first. The losing team tonight, 38-9 is our score. What grade do you give? And we'll go offense and defense.
I'm going to give South Summit's offense probably a D. I think they've got a lot of room, a lot of things that they've got to get going, get figured out.
As you say that, there's a guy late to get on the field and line up.
As far as their defense goes, I think they've done a pretty good job. I'm going to give them a B- on defense. They've done a pretty good job. I know Milford's got some points on the board, but for the most part, they put pressure on Bryson. They've caused him to be out of his game a little bit, and I think their defense played pretty good.
Milford's running game has really not gotten going tonight, and that's a credit to South Summit's defensive effort. Carry right up the middle, out to close to the 30-yard line for the fullback.
Yeah, and that's number 47. That's the fullback they started the game with, Trayton Sargent.
Spotted at the 29. So Sargent picks up 13. He had 11 carries on 5 or 11 yards on 5 carries prior to that 13-yard gain.
And another telling stat, gentlemen, South Summit actually was outscoring Milford in the second half until that BB return.
38-9, under a minute to go. Fourth quarter. Milford, the 2A. Well, they won the last 2 1A state championships. Ball's on the turf. A scrum for it. Trouble in the exchange. Milford has it. That's about a 4th fumble giveaway by South Summit's offense.
MJ Mafulu with the fumble recovery for the Tigers.
Let's see. So MJ, Milford, let's see. They fumbled late in the first half. Again there and again. Yeah, 4th fumble for South Summit's offense. That's not going to help you win games.
And it looks like the Tigers' freshman quarterback, number 5, Bo Hardy, is going to come into the ball game. And that's his brother, number 1, Kasich Hardy, the senior, in the backfield behind him.
Hardy in the shotgun. Takes a snap. Pressure comes. He sidesteps one tackler. Can't get away from a second. Brought down back at the 34. All right, grades for the Milford defense.
The Milford defense is going to get an A, in my opinion. They put a great game together. Shut out South Summit, other than the last minute and a half that South Summit scored on a broken play. Overall, their defensive line was very solid. Their linebackers caused havoc. They had a great coverage scheme in the secondary, so I'm going to give their defense an A.
I got to agree with you on that. You could argue that if Milford keeps all of its starters in there at the end, South Summit might not score. So a fantastic effort. An A for the defense offensive grade.
I'm going to give the offense a B-. I think they've got some things they've got to work on. They need to shore up a little bit of a running game. And South Summit was able to blitz and get some pressure on Barnes, and they need to get better on the offensive line. The receivers need to do a better job at shoring up some catches. I felt like there was more drops than what I thought we might see, even though it is the first game. But there's high expectations for this football team in and around Milford, and I think around the state they're respected in the 2A ranks, and so they've got some things they need to shore up. But overall, it was a pretty good put-together game by Milford.
A B- on offense, and they scored 34 points. Remind me to never take a class from you, Professor McMullen. 38-9, the final score. 2A's Milford comes in to Camas and Wildcat Stadium and takes down South Summit by a final, again, of 38-9 on the MyLocalRadio.com scoreboard. Nevea, thanks for running camera. Great job tonight. Elon, thank you so much for all your work tonight producing and adding some comments, some color, some flair. Tyler, you've been fantastic. I sure appreciate your time, Tyler McMullen. Guys, anything else from you, Tyler?
Nope. Looking forward to a great season of football. Hope I get the opportunity to do this with you again.
And I hope so, too. It's been a great pleasure to work with you, Tyler. And for folks that are you want to watch Milford in the future, let them know. You guys do all the home games?
We do all of our home games. Broadcast on KSL Live is where we run our link through. You can find them there. Our first home game is not next Friday, but the next. We're playing Ogden at Milford, and we will have that game on.
Milford next week at Gunnison, and then the following Friday, August 30th, as Tyler just mentioned, hosting Ogden. Now, if you're looking for South Summit games, I believe those are also available on live.ksl.com. If you're interested, we broadcast, My Local Radio broadcasts all of the Rich Rebels football and volleyball matches, football games, volleyball matches throughout the season on mylocalradio.com as well. Elon, thanks so much. Anything you want to touch on?
It's just really impressive to see Milford come in here, win their 20th game in a row. As Tyler mentioned, that is the longest streak in the entire state of Utah. So knocking on history here, gentlemen.
Again, thanks to our sponsors, Val Brinkerhoff Race Training Stables, Mike's Tire and Oil, and Flying M Racing Stables as well. 38-9 the final score. Milford 1-0, South Summit 0-1. Until next time, for Tyler McMullen, for Elin Olive, I'm Ryan Steinecker. Thanks for tuning in on mylocalradio.com.
You've been tuned in to Milford High School football on mylocalradio.com. Today's game has been brought to you by Fly M Racing Stables, Mike's Tire and Oil in Milford, and by Val Brinkerhoff Race Training Stables. The proceeding has been a wholly owned production of Old West Media, no portion of which may be used or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the aforementioned rights holder. Our thanks to executive producer Val Cook, office manager Kayleen Anderson, and our sales manager Julie Burley, along with sportscasters Elon Alf and Jake Hibbard, and production assistants Preston Bush and AJ Lamb. Biggest thanks to all of our sponsors and to you for tuning in.